Believe it or not, it's time for the stream. Grab some snacks and your coffee. Sometimes I game or I make art. What will it be? Believe it or not, we are live. Hello everybody. Happy Tuesday. It's spooky day. We're doing the witchy Ask Me Anything. It's time. Hello, welcome in everybody. I see many returning faces. I see a newer face that I know of. Hello, Dearborn. Do you want to go by Dearborn or Wonder? Does it matter? Because I know Echo's kind of got like two names in this chat too. Let me know. Hi everybody. I see Dim is here. You guys are bringing in a lot of good energy. Knight of Wands. Let's go. Crazy. Hello with Page of Wands. My Eight of Swords honestly does make sense. Yesterday was a rough day for me, but I'm turning it around. Rick, welcome. Ace of Cups reverse. Sting, thank you for the 11 months subbed. Incredible. Yeah, the alert. I did just turn down the volume. I forgot to turn it down. It should be quieter now. I'm awake now. I'm sorry. I always forget about that one. Echo, speak of the devil. Hello with the Emperor. Let's go. That's great for an early start to the week. We ride at dawn. Phil, hello. I'm assuming Disney's there because y'all mentioned I'm on the big TV. Oh, there she is. Nice. Disney and I both got Ladder Swords cards. Godspeed to you. Oh, the hat. Yeah, this is my little witch hat. Isn't it cute? I actually got it in Salem last year. It's like witchy, but not like cartoonish witchy. It's like cute. Yeah, I went to Salem not last year, 2 years ago, and I got this hat, and I was like, well, I have to wear it today. This is adorable. My intro? Thank you. The Page of Swords for Phil. That's a great one. What up, Alyssa? Hi, in fame. How are you doing today? I'm good. I'm ready to answer your questions. I came prepared. I have 2 stacks of books because I briefly read over y'all's questions, and I'm ready. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to teach you all a lot more about myself and maybe you about a world that you didn't know about before. Today, I'm answering all of your questions on all things witchcraft, both my practice and general practice. Maybe you have a witchy friend that you're like, hey, Alyssa, I don't completely understand what this is about. What the hell is this? I'm here to help you. Maybe you feel like you have some misconceptions. Maybe you're a skeptic, and you know what? As long as you ask respectful questions, I'll answer those too. That is A-okay. The TV has a delay. Disney, the TV, because I normally put you on my main TV too. It always has a delay. I just straight up don't watch mobile, and I use mobile to text you, and I just follow the TV. And it works out. It works out mostly. But yeah, I feel that. I do. Either is good. Thank you for asking. You love the fox shirt? Okay, cool. I'll try to call you Wonder. Like I normally call Echo, but like Deer might slip out. Just like with Echo, sometimes I call her Moon, and Moon slips out. But yeah, if you ever have a preference, let me know. Thank you. The fox sweater is new. And I love foxes. I actually work with them in my practice, so I thought I'd wear it today. I'm in the middle of explaining Tinder is the flesh for your ace brain. Okay, Rick, I think I know the part you're talking about. Yeah. Guys, if you haven't read our book club book yet, Tinder is the flesh, listen, I'm almost done with it. The discussion on the threads is crazy, and I believe we're doing our stream discussion December 2nd. That's going to be off the wall. It's gonna be crazy. Let me tell you, that book is heavy. I'm here to break my spell. You got it crazy. I could talk about breaking some spells. I doubt it's a curse, but we definitely got some stuff I could help you out with. I have a pumpkin spice latte. Life is good. Hell yeah, Dim. I was this close to getting a latte or some tea to go with this. Maybe I'll do it like halfway through. I will say I've read ahead of your questions on the Discord. Also, if anyone thinks of questions part of the way through this, my plan is to get to everything on the Discord first. And obviously, if there's little questions for like clarification in the chat, I'll answer those as we go, right? But if you have like a big question, I am going to prioritize the ones on Discord. So you can either like wait till the end, or if you want to go ahead and join Discord now, you can feel free to do that. !Discord. There is an AMA thread where you can add questions. Just thought I'd throw that out there. Oh my God, isn't Salem the best? It was so fun. It was so much fun. I only got to spend half a day there because it was actually like a big New England tour that Alex and I did. We actually went up there to go to a Nepali wedding. So that was like the main thing of it in October. But then we were like, let's go ahead and make like a whole week out of it. So we did like apple picking and hiking, and then we did the Salem half a day. I want to go back and do it proper because we didn't have any plans. We just kind of walked around. But I still got some cool stuff. It was great. I was there for Halloween a few years ago. I want to go back when it's not so swarmed. Yeah, I feel like it'd be really fun to go there near like Bieltana or something, like when the spring really hits up there. Moon, we might have been there at the same time because I was there. It was the week before Halloween in 2023. I don't know why I said it like that. It was in 2023, I think. In a live uncursing for Disney. I don't know if I could do that live. Doing a spell live seems like I don't know. It'd be weird. I could give you answers though, Disney. Open up my Instagram and a Facebook page to document my stories. That's sick and fame. There's one thing I'm having a problem with. Okay, I'm interested. I would love to go to Salem one day. They have the Black Veil Tattoo there. Is that a tattoo shop? I'm literally saving space for a piece by either of the twins. Dim. I'm looking for a tattoo artist currently. Can you put the link in Discord? Because I would love to see their style. I'm so picky when it comes to tattoo styles. Understandably so. I mean, I'm an artist myself, you know? So much drip today. Thank you, Sigma. Thank you. I tried. I didn't want to. I almost put on like a full ass like vampire Victorian thing. But if anyone pops in, I don't want to like I don't know. There's a part of me that also wanted to be genuine. Like, this is what I wear day to day. And it's like, this is a real life witch answering your witchy questions. I didn't want to wear something where it's like, yeah, I dress up like this every day. And really, I don't. You know? I don't know. I'm also messaging from my phone. Yeah. Don't worry. I do that same thing. I don't feel like the delay is ever so bad when I'm doing it for you. So hopefully it's not bad. Oh, I think I was there 2021 or 2022. Damn. Okay. I probably just missed you. SketchyCon should involve a tattoo side quest. That would actually be amazing. What if we did do that? What if we all went to Massachusetts in October? That would be fucking crazy. Unless I found one of the good spots. I mean, my sister-in-law lives in Boston, so like she knows where to go and where to not go. You know what I mean? She lives there. So in my storytelling, I call every street course that I raced in and raced in by the street course numbers, which make the story not detailed or impactful. So I'm thinking of using the real names of the street courses. Should I write the story that way? Yeah, I definitely think names in general in Fame give people more to latch onto, right? Especially because if you're going for storytelling, you can kind of like build up lore around it, you know? Definitely think the names is probably the way to go. I would warn to not dox yourself. Maybe make up your own names. But yeah. Alex is here! Alyssa tattoos. Oh, is that SketchyCon? Y'all be getting the shittiest tattoos, but at least I did them. They won't be good, but they'll be unique. Exactly. You guys can say my favorite streamer gave me this tattoo. Can you believe it? And it was free. And they'll be like, oh, I could tell it was free. I could tell. Oh my God. Yeah, Echo, how was the eyelashes? Guys, Echo did such a great thing for, which by the way, I said this on Discord. I haven't said it here. Thank you for the successful fundraiser Saturday. That was huge. We raised so much money. Polls for a cosplay stream will be coming. Echo, however, Wild Moon also did part of the fundraiser, like an after party thing yesterday. And one of their incentives was every $10, they added on more fake eyelashes. By the end, it just looked like these hairy little caterpillars were sitting on top of their eyes. It was great, man. Oh, speaking of which, wait, that's what they said. Few fallen soldiers. Now I have 2 creepy caterpillars ready for future weirdness. Okay, time for my phrase of the day. I like my people the way I like my tea. In a bag underwater. Holy shit. Okay, Isaiah. Oh my god, that was a good one though. Hey, Cleo, welcome, welcome. Nine of Pentacles reversed. Oh, that's an interesting one. I'll be using real names and pray that I don't get doxxed. I would warn you to be careful. Just be careful, especially if you live in a small town. Can't believe you were going to cap it at $50. I know, I can't either, crazy. Y'all showed up and I really appreciate it. It was so much fun. Like I said with the cosplay thing, I have some ideas on what to cosplay. I think I'm gonna get some of y'all's input too. If you guys have ideas of people you think that might make fun cosplays, like I'm all ears. I might do a poll, but when I do start making the cosplay, I think I will do bonus streams and just hang out, chit chat sometimes. The real names come naturally to me. I mean, I do get it. Just be careful. Watch out. There's some freaks out there that'll come get you. She looks so good in those eyelashes, actually. It's unfair. She really did. She owned it, man. You got that from TikTok? Isaiah. No. You don't have to tell us where you get your material from. That came out of your noggin. Why, thank you. I shall wear them to the next formal event I attend. Amazing. Secret Discord streams? Maybe. If I ever don't feel like going live on Twitch, we could do that. Probably your wedding. I'll hold you to it. It's great. With my power gone, I was productive and finally put up my Comic-Con wall. It only took me like 2 hours. So is it Disney? Is it like a wall of all stuff you've gotten from Comic-Cons in the past? That's fun. There's still so much decorating I have to do in here. Like, I don't know. It's been at a point where like it's workable whenever I stream and do computer work in here. But especially now that I got the cosplay thing going. Yeah, I'm going to have to figure that out. That's fine. That's a problem for future Alyssa. With my power gone, I was not productive and don't want to work. Phil, don't. Who needs it? Yeah, Disney, I heard that your electrical work and power is going to be a costly fix. I hope that's okay for you all. It's all your photo ops. That's so fun. Creeps can try to catch me. After all, I'm uncatchable. I'm untouchable. There you go. In Fame, I do understand though. Isn't there like a because there's people like in New York, you know, where like they have to be careful, but they post photos of themselves in New York, and so like people know they're there. But really, the key is like I even do this, even though none of y'all know where the fuck I am. Whenever I post on like Instagram stories, I never post it. Like if I'm out walking Percy or I'm out at a store, I don't post it while I'm there. I post it after I've left. So that way, if somebody someday is like, oh, we can triangulate where she's heading. Bitch, I'm gone. Fucking out of there. No one knows. It's going. My garage looks wild right now. Alyssa, Phil needs to work to pay for our electricity. I need it. This is expensive. I'm sorry, guys. I know that sucks. Listen, we had Grease Bucket and our AC broke like twice this year. I get it. I'm in North Carolina. Duh. True. Thank God North Carolina is big. Thank God. If I tell y'all how much I think y'all will vomit, is it like a couple thousand? Is it worse? Oh, no. I know to redo your electrical, if it's like an old house, I know that's like thousands of dollars. Alex and I last year, when we were house shopping around this time, we were this close to buying a house that was like, it was an old Victorian house. It was like built in like 1908. It was gorgeous. But it was like foundation had major issues because it's just so fucking old, right? It had like old versions of like electrical wiring that needed to be updated. So it was like that would have just had to been gutted and redone. Pipes, probably full of lead, you know? Not good. And we did the calculations on like, okay, well, the house is super cheap because it's so old. Can we pay for the renovations? And the renovations would have been like minimum. And this is not including pretty stuff. This is like bare bones, like $150K. And that's like the minimum. You know it's going to be more than that. And so we were like, nah, dude, can't. We can't do this. Feel free to not elaborate, but how much work do they have to do? Yeah, that's true. If you just straight up don't want to answer, totally get it. Totally get it, dude. Why are you wearing a hat? Because it's witchy time. See, look, you said, yeah, it is witchy time. You ready? You there? Hi, Smooch. It really sucks because copper is expensive right now. Ugh. Blows, dude. I'm going to wait for 15 minutes till Alyssa's caught up with chat. I'm here now. I'm here. 20K? Okay, that's a lot. Yeah, that's like a full rewiring. That's like what we were looking at with that Victorian house. The sweater is adorable. Thank you. It's new. I can't wait to wear it this winter. Or like more this winter. 20K is insane, Disney. That is like the full rewiring that we were looking at. It's a lot of stuff that needs to be brought up to code because apparently our breaker is like the most extreme fire hazard to ever exist. Hey, this is like y'all's version of Grease Bucket. Welcome to the Grease Bucket, guys. I don't think I'm over exaggerating. I plan to talk more about it when I go live since it's easier than typing. Oh, 100%. That's why I had to. Do you guys... I know Deers knew. I don't think Echo was here for Grease Bucket either. Guys, the man who owned this house before us, travesty. If you're on our Discord, we actually have a DIY home reno channel, but I call it the Grease Bucket because this man thought it was smart to vent his dryer lint by the spark plug of a grill in a propane tank. You heard that right. And he built cases around it. And I understand not wanting to type this out because I went in Photoshop and I drew this out for you guys. If you remember, if you were there. And then he thought, what do I want to do with the grease from the grill? I don't know what to do with it. You know what he thought to do with it? I'm going to push it. I'm going to push it over the side. And beneath the deck, I'm going to have a bucket hanging on a hook, like a pail. And I'm just going to put the grease in the bucket. The bucket is hanging above the air conditioner unit. Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun? Isn't that fun? So it was just leaking on top of our air conditioning. It's so good. I love that. We have since fixed it. It's been demolished. We're tearing that shit out. But Disney, I feel for you. I'm with you in solidarity. Godspeed. I wish you the best. Yeah, whole electrical next to be redone. Godspeed, guys. I'm there with you in spirit. You look adorable in those pictures when you get in the... Okay, I don't even know what that's... Oh, the divorce again. This is a joke. Yeah, it's rough out here for us right now. Not really like we aren't about to be homeless, but we'll need to chill on fun purchases. No, that's how we were, Disney. I get you. I mean... We've been making fun purchases in that, like, you know, it's been for like cars and house and stuff. But like I said, I'm still living on plastic tables. You know, like I don't have real furniture in my office, so I understand. Oh, husband's gonna fight me already. Gang, what do you say we start the Witchy Ask Me Anything? It's time. We got the spooky music on. Let's do it. Let's do it. Take the compliment, Phil. I'm going to start by saying I absolutely love the questions that you guys sent. I did read through them ahead of time. I don't know. Very happy. Excited to be talking about this. Witchy AMA, it's happening. All right. We're starting off with a question from Echo. A couple questions really from Echo and Jack. Echo asks, how did you make the leap from interested in witchcraft to actually practicing? It was when I found out it had a name and that it was something other people did, and it made me feel like less of a freak, if I'm being honest. Around 2020, in the pandemic era, as we all, you know, stopped going outside and we all, I think, went to the internet, right? I began discovering YouTube videos, actually, of other witches and what it meant to practice witchcraft. And I watched them and I realized, hey, they've been doing things all their lives or for years that I have wanted to do for a very long time. For instance, when I was a kid, I was always interested in spirits and ghosts and magic, as I think a lot of us were. I definitely took it to an extreme. For instance, I wanted to buy a tarot deck. This is when I was like 6 years old, 7 years old. I think I was in first grade. And my mom at the time wouldn't let me. Also in, 2001, where does one get a tarot deck? Right? Because now it's like there's witchy shops, or you can go on Amazon, like, or there's online shops. There was no online shopping in 2001. So what did I do? Little first grade Alyssa made her own tarot deck where I cut up pieces of paper and I was trying to Google what was in a tarot deck. I'm pretty sure I made some of my own shit up. But yeah, I was always just really interested in that. I think I've also always felt like a pull to nature and working with the earth, and that there is something kind of beyond us as people that's not yet explained, as far as like, the meaning of life and energy and, what happens after we die and all that jazz that I think religion as a whole never quite like answered for me personally. So it was whenever I discovered some more witchcraft videos on YouTube that I discovered there were books written about this and shops you can visit, and a long line of knowledge that I can just go and research myself and kind of see what fits. And so I started doing that, because it was just something that always appealed to me. It did take a while for me to actually take on the label of witch, where like I felt like for a while I was just dabbling in it, or people talk about like, oh, I'm a baby witch and I'm not really a practitioner. But like realistically, even if you were like me, younger, like, I mean, you are practicing in some way. I think if you're even just interested in it, you can call yourself a witch, and you just kind of start somewhere. I hope that answers your question. As always, feel free. People can ask me clarifying questions whenever they want. Okay, for real, those pics were adorable and I'm jealous. Hey, Cleo, thank you for the 3-stream streak. Yep. Oh, that's cool. Thank you. Thanks, Smoochie. Yeah, we used to go to Comic Cons for a couple years. Thankful I got to have those experiences. Cons are fun. Alex and I are the same. We haven't gone for a couple years, but I really want to. I would love to change that soon. We could just go out and explore more. We are going to a Ren fair soon. That'll be fun. Oh, I don't know about voodoo. I would like to avoid it. Religious purposes. No offense. Hey, that's okay. And actually, voodoo is something in fame very specific. Voodoo is a part of hoodoo, which is technically a closed religion and not just a witchcraft practice. So there is a lot of differences that I think a lot of people don't know about. But I also understand if this is just something you'd like to avoid, because I know there are people out there that feel that way, where working with magic or spirits kind of wig them out. So totally get that. Totally get that. Currently sitting with the baby house witch label. Well, okay, Echo. See, that's the thing. It does kind of just take like, I don't know, if you feel like you practice as something you've interested. I know I heard you say the other day that you even you read tarot. I mean, that means you do divination, There's also a lot of ways people, I think, do something that is witchy inherently that they don't realize is witchy. You know what I mean? When you make a wish in a fountain and you toss the coin in there, that's like a little form of spell casting. You know what I mean? There's probably things that people in this chat do daily that they don't realize is kind of like a form of spell casting, but it is. And just because I'm a witch, I label it that way. Same thing with like meditation and spell casting. Prayer to me is kind of like a form of spell casting in a way. It's a way of communicating with your spirits. I just call it something different. So it all just depends. I have a con this weekend. That's right, Smooch. That's right. You're going to go meet Jim Beaver. That's going to be so fun. I think you're taking your new suit out too, right? Your new costume. I like thinking of it that way. Oh yeah, it absolutely is. I guarantee you, everyone in this chat does something that I would call a part of my practice. Everyone. But there's a million different ways you can call it something, right? So like if you don't want to call it something witchy, then like don't. And like that doesn't make you a witch, but like it's just how like I view the world and how I label it. There's actually some questions that get into that later too, so I will kind of go more into that. I have a coffee in the morning to stop myself from going on the murder spree. I mean, but also, yeah, like you can, I've talked about how like my morning tea is sacred time for me. Even like the meditative time that one has with their tea or coffee, that counts. Bungus is here, which I have a question. What be thou question, Bungus? Do you know the Muffin Man? Of course I do. I love muffins. I have too many muffins. The Muffin Man needs to get out of my DMs. I'm not going to finish the Mandalorian cosplays in time, so it'll be the fursuit. Oh, but Smooch, that fursuit's so pretty, though. They're going to love it. The one that lives on Drury Lane? Yeah, he needs to get out of here. Howdy there. I got the right person now, I swear. All right, let me go on to the next question. We have Jack asking, what are your preferred materials for practicing? Tarot cards we know, like we know that I use. But do you also use crystals, oils, herbs? Are there any that I avoid? And if so, why? Oh, that's a good question. Tarot I use all the time. I use cards as my main source of divination. Although I have thought about going into throwing kits, but I do not have a throwing kit. Which for those that don't know, it's when you can have a bag, like an oracle bag. Bone throwing is really common. You may have heard of it as bone throwing, where you literally take out the bag, you shake it, thinking of your question, the way I shuffle cards, and you throw it out on a mat. Throwing kit. No, not kids, kit with a T. Kit, K-I-T. Yeah, but you can throw it out and then you can divine depending on where things fall, if they land in groups or in certain sections, pointing in certain ways, you can kind of divine from that. We know, Alyssa, I don't know. I'm answering your questions. Supposedly Alex's nickname is the Muffin Man. He in my DMs. Oh shit. My hat. My hat looks silly. That looks silly. What the hell, OBS? The hell, OBS? What the hell? Chaosbringer graduated from College of Winterhold. I can confirm I was there too. Bone reading is quite popular. Yeah, it is. I really just need to sit down and like make a kit. Cause like you can also buy kits, but I think I'm in the phase of my own practice where I really like making my own materials. I like making my own sets of things if I can. And I also do have a lot of bones. You can also throw in. You are
talking about the nonsensical raving.
No, it's real.
Mind.
You can also throw in other things. Like I know people throw in keys or buttons that mean a lot to them. Any little thing you want to throw in this kit, you can. So I've thought about doing that, but haven't. As far as actual like ingredients go, I don't work a lot with crystals. I do have some, but I really only pull them out for the big guns spells, which I've only done a handful of times. I've made some of my own oils that I like. I would say, though, my main ingredients are probably candles and herbs. Candle magic is the fucking best thing to ever exist. I love that shit. And I work with plants a lot. As you can tell, I have a lot of plants behind me. I also have my own herb garden, and I have since like 2021. So I grow and dry my own basil, sage, rosemary. I work a lot with like fruits and vegetables, that kind of thing. And I do incorporate those in my spell work when I can. But yeah, I'd say those are my favorites. I would say there aren't any I avoid. I mean, maybe crystal work. And it's just because, honestly, I don't avoid crystals. Like, I'm not like, oh my God, ugh. It's just crystals don't really like appeal to me personally. Whereas like candles do, right? Candle magic, I'm like, fucking send me. Every spell for me needs a good candle. At least one, if not more. But there are probably other people out there that get great results and are like, fuck candles. Rocks all the way. So it just depends. I'm not saying it's bad. I would just say crystals is probably the one I work with the least. Didn't the Vikings do bone reading? Yes, they did. I do actually also. I have a rune set. You guys know the old like Nordic runes? I do have a rune set that I've been wanting to learn how to read and how to divine with them. Because it can be similar to tarot, right? You can read them like cards, or you can read them by like throwing runes. I'm just not nearly as comfortable reading them as I am tarot. But I do have a rune set. And I've wanted to learn how to do that, as well as Ogham, which is an old Celtic way to read runes, but they're specifically related to trees, spelled Ogham, but pronounced like Ogham. I keep hearing kid too. Throw the kids! But most shamanic histories have them. Yeah, you guys will be surprised how much this is another thing I kind of love about this sort of work. It's something that drew me to it the more I looked into it. Cultures all over the world, even ones that have like zero to do with one another, all kind of have forms of what I include in my witchcraft. Some kind of baseline spiritual work like this, divination, their thoughts on working with the dead and the dying. A lot of it crosses over, which historically fascinates me. It also makes me think like there's this bigger thing kind of connecting us all as humans that I think in a modern age we tend to ignore. And I do think we all just need a little bit more connection in this day and age. Which you guys know is something I care very much about on Twitch and with this community, but that is something that is like, it always drew me towards this as a practice. Whereas I feel like sometimes modern religions or modern spirituality can sometimes focus on dividing or a sense of like othering, that in my personal practice, I think it's more broad. Just had to because it's about throwing the bones. I have no green thumb. I need to get an easy plant to try and not kill. Mood, I highly recommend if you start working with, I have a snake plant here and a pothos plant I've had for like 4 or 5 years. And I also used to think I didn't have a green thumb. You just slowly learn, you know? It helps that I do have a backyard, you know, even in my previous house and this one where I got to work on an herb garden. Rosemary, I recommend starting with rosemary. First off, great protection plant. It is a great catch-all for any kind of spell casting you want to do. And it's also very hardy. So, would recommend. I choose all my Tinder matches by throwing expired contraceptives and reading the patterns. It always says yes. But for real, I've heard about reading entrails. That is true. The Greeks used to do that, especially with cats, unfortunately. They would read the entrails of animals before war and decide if battle was going to be successful or not. Is that a more evil method or similar to reading bones or runes? I mean, it's the same. Really, divination officially, right? Because it can be done in different ways, is reading patterns that are typically associated with certain events. So when you read certain cards, when you read certain entry, like, oh shit, because I cut the cat and it's like, this is happening. You know, the last 4 times this happened in battle. So like, dude, it's not looking very good. And that's why divination is never like, oh, this is for sure going to happen. Like anybody reading you divination will know like you're going into it and it's, I saved something actually. I read something the other day and I took a picture of it because I was like, this is going to be perfect for the AMA. Tarot, or divination in general, doesn't tell you what will happen. It helps you see what could, what is likely possible. Astrology does not decide your future. It shows the cycles you're currently moving through. So the kind of energies that are currently affecting you, but it's not like this is for sure going to happen. Rituals don't create power, they direct it, which is exactly what magic is all about, redirecting power. So in lines with that, divination is more like seeing what patterns are showing up that are creating the situation you're in, which means, hey, this is likely leading you this way. Yeah, are you paying attention or not? Sometimes whenever you read tarot and stuff, depending on who's doing it, You can also call upon any spirits that you work with, any deities that you work with. Ancestors are a common one to work with. And I do personally do that in my practice. Typically, whenever I'm shuffling, before I shuffle even, I kind of have my hands on the deck, and I typically do like a little incantation kind of in my head where I call that kind of help. Because typically, they have better eyes than me, and they know what's going on more than I do. So especially when I'm reading for myself, I do that. As well as when I read for you guys on stream, I kind of do that, get some extra eyes and help on it, and read it. I tend to find that they're more accurate that way than when I just raw dog some cards. Keep hearing kids too. Yes, yes, yes. Connection, speaking my language. That's a lot of what I felt in my music therapy practice. See, like, Echo, that's so good. There's so much about, there are a lot of people out there that will take their even religious practices, but you know, it could be any spiritual practice across the board, and they can relate it to something like that in their lives. I think a lot of gardeners do that. It's why I think I'm more drawn to working with the earth and cycles of the seasons. Music, and actually music magic, is a very real thing that now that you say that, I could see that kind of being a thing that maybe some music therapists out there do. There's something I want to talk about later with one of the questions, but also sewing magic and like, it's called knot magic, but if you're like crocheting or knitting or sewing, that's a really great way to cast spells and kind of work with that. Hi, Pluranko, welcome in. I feel like different tarot decks have a personality. You're 100% correct. I would completely agree with that. There's actually some, what's the word? Spreads you can do. I do this every time. I always cleanse a new deck. I purify it whenever I get it. I typically do that with candles because I love candle magic. I purify the deck, and then I ask it questions about its personality in a spread. And there's a specific spread I do, and it typically tells me, like, I've had some decks where you could tell it's like, bitch, I'm gonna tell you how it is. And other ones are like, this is a happy flowery deck. I'm here to give the good vibes. And like, I don't know, sometimes you need the tough love, sometimes you don't. You know what I mean? Sometimes you get a deck that's really balanced and they're like, I'm gonna tell you how it is, but you know, we're gonna get through this together. You know what I mean? So yeah, I recommend if you get a new tarot deck, like, you can do those spreads. There's some online, and if maybe after this, if someone reminds me, I can type out the spreads I use in the Discord if y'all want. Agreed, Pluranko. Dearborn taught me a deck interview spread. It's so useful. Yeah. Okay. Same thing. Dearborn knows deck interview is life. It's so important. Wonder, do you also practice? Are you a fellow practitioner? Let's go. Mine has cats for the picks. They honestly keep bapping me with the cards. That's great. Oh, I love it. I love it. Yeah, I definitely have different decks for different. Really, it just kind of depends on what I'm feeling. I do also use oracle cards, which for those that don't know are cards like tarot, but they also, sorry, I just saw Smooch's 22 more minutes. We've begun. This is a yapping stream. I'm going to yap for like 4 hours about this shit. There are oracle cards, which are like tarot in that they are still cards, but tarot has a very specific formula. It is the 22 major arcana, so like the lovers, death, the sun, that kind of thing. And then it has the 4 suits, the wands, the pentacles, the cups, swords, whatever. Oracle, it's like whatever the fuck you want it to be. I have an oracle deck based on the seasons. I have an oracle deck based on fantasy tropes, which I love to use. I have an oracle deck based on plants, and it is all plants. I tend to love to use that one during the spring. But yeah, oracle decks are also very fun with, because there's much less structure and they're less formulaic. You just kind of, you have to intuit a lot more. It's way more intuitive. So you kind of got to like go with the flow with it. How much did the fundraiser raise, by the way? Smooch, the fundraiser broke over $6,000. And we helped. Yep, just over 6,100. It was amazing. Holy shit. I know. We did good. We helped with that. Yes, we can curse again. Yeah, you can curse however you want. I thought it was ironic that I wasn't the one that slipped a curse and it was Alex. I did good. I did good. Fucking fuck. Dang, congrats. Yeah, I mean, really, thank you. You guys helped out a ton. Yeah, I was happy to be a part of that. Okay, we got another question. How has practicing impacted your life and mindset in a broad sense? How is Alyssa today different from Alyssa yesterday? In a way that you can draw a relatively solid line from starting / maintaining your practice to changes you see in yourself. Holy shit, that's a hell of a question by Jack. Honestly, I would say practice. I think it's like more the other way around. Rather than practicing impacting, or no, wait, what's the question? Yeah, practicing impacting my life. Thank you, Disney. I do need to remember to drink because it's a very heavy talking stream today. I think practicing has made me much more aware of my impact on the world. It's made me feel, in a good way, like a smaller person. And hear me out when I say this. Practicing in the way that I do, which is a lot of working with the spirits in the land around me. It's working with the cycle of the seasons. And you all know I'm a death practitioner. So a lot of that is the passing of time, transformation. All of that stuff I'm kind of saying is related to each other. I think because of that, because I work with death energy so much, I'm way less scared of things. Hold on, I gotta sneeze. Oh, sorry. I'm way less scared of things. And what I mean by that is like, I'm less scared of change. I think I recognize change. Thank you. Thank you, Tim. I think I recognize change as kind of something that is always going to be happening. And now I jump on that with way more gusto. And I'm like, okay, here we go. I'm ready to see what happens on the other side. Whereas I think I used to be way more opposed to that. I also think when I said I feel smaller, that's kind of what I mean by that. Where like I'm less. I used to get really worried really easily. And I still do like struggle with anxiety a little bit, but much less than I did when I wasn't practicing, because it's kind of helped me realize just how small I am in this world. Like I am such a teeny bit of this larger cycle moving forward. And also with change, like you always come out the other side stronger and better and having learned more and having grown. So I think practicing in the way that I do reminds me of that daily. And I have noticed that it makes me less anxious. I used to have the craziest financial anxieties. Like you guys would not fucking believe how nervous I would get about money. Because I used to always feel like, oh my God, at any moment, this stuff can be taken from me. Or like, you know, what if I can't sustain this career? What if this happens to my life? Or what if my health suddenly tanks? And like, I don't know. I used to get that. I used to live with that constantly and it was like crippling. I get those now. Alex, join me. Join me in the craft, my dude. I'm just kidding. But yeah, I would say like working with death energy and the earth the way that I do has made me realize that none of it's permanent, and it makes me feel a lot more at ease about that, which then also helps me in turn, like the lack of anxiety helps me go towards other goals that I want to go towards as well. So those are kind of some clear lines I can draw. I think it's also helped me become more aware and work with also my own footprint on the world. I do try to pick up trash whatever. Like, I mean, I did before, but like I think of it differently now. Try to pick up trash, order from Amazon less, reduce my carbon footprint. You know, I just tried to be more conscientious of the world around me and help out those around me too. I've realized how interconnected we are. And that's my answer. Fuck yeah, I can cuss. Do it as much as you want, crazy. Okay, what do we have next? A question from Echo. What does your daily practice look like? Is there a ritual you have every day? It evolves little bits. And that also changes throughout the season. Hold on, I see Rick has a question. You two gotta agree on which one has the financial anxiety every other month. Balance it out. I know it was me for like 3 or 4 years. And now it's just Alex full on. Alex, join me. Join me in the practice. Join me in the meditations. Maybe it'll help you the way it helped me. I don't know. I don't want to speak for him, but I'm pretty sure Alex is also the one of like, I don't know what I believe when it comes to spirits, but I'd rather not mess around with that shit. And I can respect it. Going back to Echo's question. So for a daily practice, it does evolve, especially throughout the year. I would say something I do every day consistently, though, is I charm my tea every morning. Which anyone can do this. You can charm your tea or your coffee, and I just charm it for protection. It's really easy. It's if anyone's ever prayed in their life, it probably looks similar to that. It's hard to talk about like how to cast a spell if you've never done it before. It's kind of like a visualization exercise, if that makes sense. You're meditating and praying a bit, which is like the incantation you're saying in your head. And then you visualize the tea actually being charmed. And that's all it is. So I do that with whatever tea bag I have. And then sometimes, occasionally, I'll charm it for productivity or creativity if I'm having a really bad time in the slump of the work. But most of the time I do protection because daily protection is just good. Spiritual hygiene is what we call it in the witchy realm. So I do that so I at least have some kind of protection on me daily that's kind of zhuzhed up. I do also, sometimes I will do glamour spells. I've charmed jewelry before, so just whenever I'm wearing jewelry, that's why you see me wear these necklaces a lot. That's charmed for protection, that sort of thing. But yeah, I would say it changes. The tea thing is definitely the most consistent. In the summer and the spring, I check up on my plants in my garden. And sometimes the tea charming goes by the wayside because I'm busier in the spring and summer with my plants. But the tea is probably the most consistent. Is there any witchcraft that can make you rich? Like doing a spell on an ATM machine, suddenly it flows unlimited money? No. There are money spells. Money magic is a thing that I have actually done before. A lot of witches work with money magic, and there's a lot of good resources about that also on YouTube. There's actually some questions coming up on money magic too. But no, money magic is real. That's a real thing you could do. I don't think it's magic. Hey, who doesn't want to be rich? When it comes to work, what if I'm lazy? Well, we'll talk. Oh, and fame? We'll get to that. That's a big conversation because money magic is not what people think it is, but I have done it. It does work. I'm sort of like that too. I believe in spirits and such, but prefer not to mess with it. Yeah, and like I don't even know if Alex is like a believer per se. I think he's like, I don't know how I feel about it. And obviously Alex is here, like chime in if I'm putting, incorrect information out there. I think he's like, I don't even know how I feel about it, but like he does not want me reading tarot for him at all. And I respect that. I don't. He's just like, don't fuck with it, Alyssa. Don't even touch it. And I'm like, okay, sure. It's the biggest magic of all. Capitalism. Wait, this is why you drink tea every day? To read the tea leaves? Oh yeah, that's too. There's is it tasseography? I never know how to say it. Tasseography is the technical name of reading tea leaves for divination. I've never actually done that because I don't drink loose leaf tea in the cup, which is how you do it. There's like a way where you have to sip the tea like through your teeth, which I don't like doing. And then you have to turn the cup over, you spin it around a certain number of times, like 3 times clockwise, and then you take the cup up. And whatever the leaves say on the plate is you reading your divination. I've never done that. Fake tea drinker? Bitch! I drink tea! Get out of here. Affectionately. Yeah, I forgot to tell you one of the nighttime street racing that put chills down my spine. Believe it or not, I'd rather not be rich. That would just would not want to worry about the day-to-day costs. But Alex, what if you were so rich you didn't have to worry anymore? No, if you're that rich. Well, it doesn't even take that much. Here's the thing. If you're used to living the way you and I live, it doesn't even take that much money just to not worry anymore. That's the sad thing. When you have billionaires that can like save world hunger and still have leftover money, that shit's crazy. I bet you microwave your tea. Whoever microwaves their tea they're posers. They're posers. It's not real tea. I read Turkish coffee grounds. Oh yeah, that's true, because you can do the same thing with coffee. That's cool, Dim. The sad thing is you can't read your own. You can't? Wait, tell me more about that, because I actually don't know about that practice. That's cool. Seriously hate people who do this. Thank you, Smooch. I do too. Alex would be too worried about the greed. You're such a nice. See, this is why I married you. You're too nice, and I love it. Not too nice. That's the right amount of nice. Cough, cough, Elon. Oh, I know. There's actually a lot of other people who are billionaires too that could even do it. Did you know technically Taylor Swift has enough money to pay off world hunger and still have so much money left over? It's actually a lot more people than you think. It's kind of sad, but that's a topic for another day. If I had to be famous to be rich or had to work a ton to be rich, would instantly not be worth it. Yeah. I get that. My goal is to be famous enough that I could like sustain myself as an artist and entrepreneur, but I don't know. You get like that hyper fame, the Hollywood fame. I don't want that. This is good. Twitch level of like you guys knowing me. There's like a 0.00001% chance of me being recognized. That's good. Yeah, here it's no big deal or not frowned on. I don't drink tea, so I can't comment on it. I think real tea drinkers know if you microwave the water, it's not the same. It's not the same. I think a lot of Americans in general think it is. They don't know shit. I was raised by my British grandparents who taught me better. So there's that. Disney is the only one who can rage bait Alyssa. That's true, Phil. I want rich without fame. True. I get that. I mean, I guess there's ways you can do that too, right? I will die on my microwave tea water hill. It's hot now, isn't it, Rick? That's blasphemy. You're not even American, dude. What the hell? Americans are stupid, okay? They kind of like own up to it, but like, come on. Rage baiting Alyssa is my fave thing to do sometimes. My theory is that all the shit we deal with these days is directly related to greed, none of the other 7 deadly sins. Greed certainly seems to be... I thought this was America! Isn't this America? Not when I'm raised by the Brits. Greed certainly seems to be the thing... What am I trying to say? It's the theme of this generation, isn't it? It certainly seems to be. Not wrath. Well, maybe a little bit. But it is kind of stemming from greed, isn't it? Greed seems to be the crux of it all. It's all the money people wanting to be friends with each other. There are set meanings of certain symbols. You read the cup first, and the person whose fortune is being told makes a wish when you move the little plate. And the way the salve falls sort of tells how likely it is for the wish to come true. So you can be really biased when reading your own. They say it's bad luck. I definitely get that. Sometimes I read myself, even my own tarot cards, and I'm like, is this actually what the cards are telling me, or is this what I want to see? And so I try to keep an open mind with that. Because also, hindsight's 20/20 sometimes. It is hard. You microwave your milks, but that's different. I have never had to microwave milk, so you know what? I suppose I can't judge too hard on that. Also, are you talking about like milk for Ian? Because that's also different. I feel like a lot of people do that. That makes sense. Yeah, if there are demons of the 7 sins, greed is like Michael Jordan dunking on a 5th grader. That's so true. Oh my God. A kettle is like less than 20. Wise up. I have a kettle that makes like near instant hot water. That's pretty fucking great. Pretty fucking great. Rick rage baited her. Yeah, Rick did do me. No, it takes longer to warm up a kettle? My old copper kettles used to go pretty fast. I don't know. Maybe that's like an electrical output thing. I have no idea. Okay, a few weeks ago I had a night where I tried my time trial on a forest and gravel-based street. That's fun. The other half of the street course is tarmac. So as I entered the gravel area first, took left, and I found 2 routes. It was filled with forest trees. That's sick. You should post these the way you said earlier and take pictures. 3 or 4 speed. For some reason, I have a bad feeling taking the right turn. Oh, this is like a two-parter. Okay, hold on. Please hold. We're coming back. I want to be the level of rich where I never have to be worried about money. And if I get hit with a random 20K bill, it's equivalent to having spent $20. Yes. Disney, that's what I mean by not having to worry. Because for the rest of us here, if any of us in this chat got hit with a 20K bill like you just did, nightmare. Nightmare. Fucking nightmare. I understand. I just want McDonald's. I haven't had McDonald's in months. It takes less than a minute and a half, a liter to have. Oh, half a liter mug. Yeah, mine also goes quicker. Maybe it has to do with how much water is being put in there, though. Or maybe also like the electrical outlet. Like you just did. But Disney, I'm so sorry. Hey, listen. I'm just saying, maybe you shouldn't have joked around about the ditch so much. I'm just kidding. That made it sound like a threat, like I did this to you. I did not. I don't wish any harm on anyone in this chat. I just need everyone to know that. Oh no. I'm making it worse. Alyssa, you're making it worse. You're making it worse. All right, let me get back to your witchy questions. Echo asks again, did you have any spiritual practices before witchcraft? If so, do you still engage with any of them now? I don't really think so. Disney, I knew you cursed me. No, I don't really think so. Like I said, when I was a kid, I think I was always interested in, I was also always into fantasy and magic and books and film, right? And I think there was always a part of me that, because my family like kind of raised me Christian, but also kind of not. Like my parents, I think my mom would have called herself Christian, but would she have? Maybe. My parents were not very religious. I think I went to church a total of like 3 times when I was a kid. And it was just because also for like the community of it. And if you've been to a church, you know how like they put on a lot of like social events and whatnot. So it was really more for like that for us as like kids. But I was never raised like in a Christian household outside of like, hey, you can pray on it and praying will make you feel better. But like even that was like, I don't know. It was very not present in my household as a kid. So I had a lot of freedom from a young age to experience spirituality. And I think I was always drawn to particularly more nature-based type of practices and religions. There was also a time when I was in like high school and I was first learning about like Buddhism, right? And Taoism and Shintoism and all of the Hinduism. A lot of the Eastern religions where I realized like a lot of these are saying similar things, slightly different. There's something I really love about Eastern practices where the divine self tends to be, this was kind of a stickler. In Eastern practices, the divine entity, so what we would refer to as like God in a lot of Abrahamic religions or Western religions like Christianity, Islam, etc., Judaism, whatever. In a lot of Eastern religions, a lot of the divine entity, power, whatever, is located within the human. Like the human, the mortal coil, who you are as a person can access the divine. Or like you as a human are a divine entity, you just kind of need to work to untap it. I'm greatly simplifying it, but that's kind of how it is. Whereas a lot of Western religions, the divine is outside of you, and you typically look towards it, you know, like, oh, please help me, grant me. And I always was kind of also drawn to some Eastern religions for that reason. So I don't know, I was given a lot of freedom as a kid, got to read a lot, got to, I don't know, feel it out myself. And at the end of the day, I was kind of drawn to witchcraft because it is broader in that regard. Really off topic, but we may be going on strike at work. Crazy. Wait, you did actually talk about this before. I remember you mentioning this. This week is the vote, like the authorization vote will happen, and then we go from there. Let me know. I was working in animation when we voted for the authorization to strike in 2021. Yes, that was when it was. It was 2021 or 2022. Good times, though. Good luck, my dude. That's nuts. Phil Aurelier has meetings today. He's taken 2 during stream with the French. So they know we're trying to learn about witches. Yeah. This is a lot of great discussion, though. I hope that answers your question about any spiritual practices. Really, the answer is no. I did not have a very huge religious upbringing. So a lot of it was just found through myself and through reading. And then as I got older, right, meeting, friends that were involved in their own spiritual practices and kind of seeing what they do. Like I remember learning about Ramadan. I think I had a friend that was Islamic when I was in 3rd grade. Her name was Elizabeth. Elizabeth, if you out there, hope you're doing well. But like I did not fucking know anything about Islam as a 3rd grader. I didn't know shit about Ramadan. The only thing I remember was that in 3rd grade, we'd all go sit at those long tables and we'd all sit and we'd all have our lunch boxes and we all eat with each other, except Elizabeth, who would just sit there with nothing in front of her and would talk to us. And we'd be like, why aren't you eating, Elizabeth? What's going on? And she's like, oh, I can't. I'm fasting. We'd be like, why? And she's like, oh, it's, it's for a celebration for Ramadan. I remember she did mention the name Ramadan. That was my first interaction with it as a kid. I remember she called it like a celebration. And she told me like she's fasting and she gets to eat whenever she gets home or something, like later tonight. And we were just like, oh, okay. I remember I did used to feel bad that like we'd be fucking eating in front of her and she would just sit and like hang out with us. And we were like, okay, oh, sure. But yeah, so like, I don't know, like the older I got and then obviously through like high school and college when I'm more like fucking aware of the world around me, you know, branch out, learn about that. That's child cruelty. Is it? It was definitely 3rd or 4th grade. 100%. It was not 5th grade. It was earlier than 5th grade. That's too fucking early for that. There's an age limit? See, Dim, this is what I mean. I don't know shit about that stuff. Really? Yeah, she was definitely in 3rd or 4th grade. For sure. For sure. Dim? Spill the deets. I want to know. That does make sense, right? Wouldn't that like stunt child growth or something? But like, I don't know. I don't know shit. All right, hold on. Let me catch up while Dim gives us the tea. Hold on. Drove so fast off the street course later that night, I closed my eyes, visualized it again and again. The feeling crept up on me. In my vision, I took the right turn as I went in deeper, found out why that feeling was lingering. There was a white figure that jumped at me. Opened my eyes and found out the road is haunted. Holy shit, Infame. You're getting close to Halloween too? The veil be thin the night of the 31st. You guys tell me if you get crazy stories during Halloween night or something. That could be crazy. Okay, Rick has a question. Do Americans or other countries study world religions in school? Finland's 8th grade religions class are all about the most common world and Finnish religions and their subvarieties. I think in general, in American schooling, at least while I was there, which wasn't too long ago, I can't imagine it's changed that much. We do study it typically alongside our social studies classes. So if there's a, really, I guess it's just world history classes, which we're supposed to take at least twice throughout our schooling, if not more. World history, you'll learn about different world religions. I think during American history, you'll learn a little bit about like, oh, the Puritans coming over. But even that is extremely washed. They don't mention that the Puritans were casted out from England because they were too crazy. At least if they do, I wasn't told about that. And I did ace the college exam when I was in high school, so yep. But they do briefly go over some of that. A lot of the stuff that I know about it comes from further reading just because I was interested in it. And by further reading, I do not mean that much. I mean cursory Google searches. I mean very surface level looking into that. Now, as I go deeper into my practice, I actually, you'll see, I'll show some books here. They're what I would call like beginner level witchcraft books. But typically most books written on witchcraft are beginner level. If you want to go further into your practice, you study history. So like I'm kind of at the point now where I would like to dive into like the religion of it or the history of the world and gather my knowledge that way. Do a bit more of a deeper dive. Okay, Crazy says, depends. We learn about world cultures and some do talk about religion based on the culture. Yeah, it's definitely not like a standalone class like what you're saying you have in Finland. Like, not at all. If listening to anything, that feeling is the thing I always listen to. I don't know if English has a name for it, but the Finnish is at least called Etienne. Fuck. Wow. That's so cool. Wait, so you're saying at least like the thing that Infame went through, there's a name for that? That's sick. The Netherlands does. At least my high school did, even though it was a Christian high school. We learned about Buddhism, etc. Sting, thank you so much for the 25 bits. Hold on, I missed that. Sting, thank you so much. I hope you're enjoying this little chat. Those dang Vavitches. Hold on, I'm catching up. That's really cool. I see a lot of evangelicals and other high control religions who seem to lean into the mystical as well. Yeah. I gotta catch up. Hold up. UK, we had religious education as a subject class up until GCSE with options to continue it further. That makes sense. Very random question. Do you know the animator Tom Bancroft? Like, personally? Like, not personally, just know who that is. Yeah, I know Tom Bancroft. I do. I've heard actually a couple of talks of his, but yes. Rule of thumb is you aren't supposed to, okay, this is for the Ramadan, the fasting thing. Rule of thumb is you aren't supposed to, unless you've had your period, you still count as a kid. Well, I can't ask Elizabeth that. I can't do that. Well, I don't know. Rip. Okay. At McDonald's, we cleared shifts for those fasting if they wanted, because pulling in all night after fasting all day is murder. Yeah, that's good that you guys thought about that. Okay, the strike vote is this week, and then 10-day warning given that the strike will happen. Okay, yeah. So it's like the authorization thing, at least from what we know. I think I'm picking up a weekend job at a VR place in case the strike happens. What is the VR place like? What is this? They already asked if I'm available to start this Saturday. Okay. Fascinating. That's cool, Crazy, though. Maybe that could be a fun, like, side gig until this blows over. I know you want to work in education, so, like, I hope, obviously, this keeps working out for you. Okay, but usually they don't let you fast until you're, like, over 16. She was not over 16. There's a kid version of fasting where it is a half day. It was strictly forbidden at school. Then again, I grew up in a secular time. Even though the parents are obligated to teach you about religion, I read all 3 books by the age of 11 and then rejected it. They are pretty chill about it since they aren't strict believers either. It's mostly for burial rites. Well, shit, now I really wish I could ask her these questions. I have no idea. Like I said, I was so new to that idea of even fasting in general, because also we can recognize fasting is not just used for Ramadan. Fasting is, I think, inherently used in religions around the world, and in spiritual practices everywhere. There are even some witches that fast for different reasons, or different magic practitioners in general. That was my first experience ever hearing about anything like that. So I have no idea, Dim, and I haven't talked to her since I was probably in middle school. So, rip. Because they were terrible? Yeah, I guess. God. Here, no, religious classes aren't taken till college and are elective courses unless you go to a religious school. That's very true. If you want something religious in its entirety. Yeah, you do learn very basic religion stuff in world history, but I wouldn't consider it as a religious study. Yeah, I completely agree with Disney. It's like a very, very brief overview, and even then, any reading I did was on my own, and it was also very surface level, all things considered. I mean, the Puritans tried to kill their kids, kept black Satan goats who got cast out of the village. Black Phillip, if you weren't at the stream, you don't know what I'm talking about. We saw it and everything on TV is true. Mercy, mercy, Black Phillip. You can't fast while on your period. You can't fast if you're traveling for a long time. There are rules. I mean, that makes sense. That would, because now I'm thinking back about it, and I guess I just assumed that if you were too young, they wouldn't make you fast, which apparently is a rule by what you're saying. But I guess in her case, I don't know what they were doing. Because, like, it makes sense, like, even for child development, right? Like, if you're too young and you start fasting, that's not good for you nutritionally. That's just the science of it. That makes sense. Those dang bitches. Really, no religion classes in Texas? I would have thought every class was a religious class there. Damn. It wasn't the Vavitches, it was the Puritans. The Puritans do be crazy. I just read your message in Discord about my family. No one's hurt here. No one's here but me and Disney, by the way. Didn't want you to think we're all watching together. I mean, that's okay. There's no holding back. It's more like, I don't know if they'd be judging you. But that's good, Phil. Now, we don't, lots of Christians private schools here. Yeah. That's grown in Florida, too. You met Tom Bancroft? He's one of our picks on the Comic-Con wall. That's fun. He seems like such a nice dude. There's actually two. It's Tom and... Oh, they're the Bancroft brothers. I forget the other guy's name. Mr. Bancroft. There's two of them, but they're both, yeah, like hyper famous 2D animators of the Disney Golden Age. Everyone goes to church and believes the church should teach you religion. Texas is rough. Texas be rough. It's just an amusement center store where people can go and pay to play VR for an hour or two. The manager actually emailed me and asked that one of their weekenders was leaving and asked if I was interested. Hey! That's great, though. You're just going to be around gamers. That's easy. Sorry, I completely derailed the topic with my religion question. I mean, it is a little bit related. Here, let me go ahead and I'll start the next question while I catch up on chat a bit, too. Well, actually, wait, no. Hold on. I'll catch up here. Then I'll do it. Tom and Tony Bancroft. That's it. Tony Bancroft. They are super nice, Disney. I'm glad you got to meet Tom. The Muslim fasting is done to understand and empathize with the poor who go hungry most days. So you learn how to share your food and take care of the hungry and poor. Oh. See, like fundamentally, that's really sweet. You have to fast when the dark thread is separated from the light. Dawn till dusk. They will wake around 3 a.m. and have some light breakfast because usually it begins after 4 a.m. And the fast breaks around 7 to 8 daily. There are different times daily depending on the season since Ramadan changes due to operating on the Islamic calendar. Oh, shit. That's fascinating. I did know that sometimes they had a light breakfast before like 4 a.m. Or like the dawn till dusk thing. I didn't know why though. That's... I don't know. I find this shit really fascinating. It's cool to me. It's interesting. My family's so open, not minded, and non-judgmental. It's actually weirds Disney out. Really? Okay, well, shit. Let's go. Let's go. Okay, we're on to our next question. It's a question by Crazy. How do you feel about people putting spells on other people? How do you go about breaking a spell someone made on you? Well, first off, what kind of spell are you referring to, Crazy? Because I know you're in the chat. Do you mean a curse or any spell? Because a lot of times if someone is taking the time to cast a spell on you, it's probably a good thing. Witches, just like everyone else, be busy. To have a spell cast on you means you either fucked up really bad and they're like, F this guy, I'm gonna fuck him up as best I can. Or it's like a friend or someone who is like, this guy really rocks. I want to do him a solid. I want to make sure he's protected. Or I want to like cast like a money charm on him or like something good. You know what I mean? So I don't know why you'd want to break the good ones. Curse is something different. Curse and be different. How do I feel about putting spells on other people? I tend to not. And that's not to, because here's the thing, there's going to be witches out there, magic practitioners in general, because those are technically two different terms. Some people say, fuck it, you do whatever you want. And I'm not necessarily against casting on other people. For me, It's partly a time thing. It's a, do I really find this worth it? And then it's a, also, I want to respect people's space. That's just where I am right now in my practice. For instance, like Alex, I have wanted to cast spells for Alex on his behalf before, but I have not, because he has explicitly told me, Alyssa, please don't do that. And so I'll say, no, you got it. Or not no, like, no to casting for myself. Like, you know, I won't do that to Alex. I will cast for myself, and that's probably as close as it gets, because obviously, since he's my partner, any good fortunes I try to bring to myself is obviously going to be reaped by him as well. But I do not cast with him in mind. I think there's a question coming up about baneful spells as well. Or it's not explicitly called baneful spells, but there's obviously spells you can cast that are like, fuck this guy. Get out of here. There's also such things called cord cutting spells, where maybe it's not necessarily like a curse or baneful, but it's like, a cord cutting spell is quite frankly what it sounds like. Often uses not magic or candle magic, but I just don't want this person in my life anymore. Get the fuck out of my life. I'd never want to see your face again. And you can do that. And again, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Baneful magic per se in the right context. Not even in the right I really don't think there's anything like super wrong with that, especially if, like I said, typically for you to go to that point, again, it takes a lot of time and effort and energy. Like that means like something big's going down. So baneful magic. I see dim coming with freezer spells. Freezer spells are also great. Cord cuttings, that sort of thing. I don't see anything wrong with that. I just haven't done them because I've never really had to. Knock on wood. I haven't really had to. I have been close to doing it once, very close to doing it once, and I decided not to, and I'm happy with that decision. I will elaborate more on that story later because there is a question about it. I have casted a spell on another person, I think only once. And again, it's just like, I'm not against it. If anybody asked me, like, hey, Alyssa, I need some extra mojo in my life. Can you help me find a job? Can you help me help the money situation? Can you help me with my mental health? I really maybe want some clarity. I would love to. It's just kind of like, because I know some people are weird about it, I don't want to like, I don't know, again, mess with the spirits and they're uncomfortable with it. I did one time though do that without permission or without express permission when my younger cousin had cancer. She was diagnosed with cancer when she was a sophomore in high school. It was with a very aggressive form of cancer. And I kind of came up with a spell for her good health and coming out of that. And she's cancer-free now and has been in remission for years with none of it coming back. So let's hope that stays that way. But yeah, I did. I thought I'd pull out the big guns. Younger cousin, I won't dox you with your name if you ever see this. Sorry if you feel weird about it. I just felt like I had to do something. Felt like that was the only thing I thought I could do. You know what I mean? What else can you do? Your fucking 15-year-old cousin gets diagnosed with cancer, doesn't know if she'll make it to her 16th birthday, and you're like, I don't know. Gotta pull out all the stops for that. You know what I mean? Don't clap for me. Don't clap for me. But that was the only time I did that. That was the only time I felt like it was appropriate. Again, if anyone ever asked me to do that, or if anyone made it clear for me, like, oh yeah, I'm good with magic, and then something came up and I wanted to help them, I would. And that's just kind of my own personal take on it. Everyone's got their own thing. Okay, let me catch up. It was a love spell that was made on me years ago. Wait, are you for sure? What kind of love spell? Is in love spell for you to love them? Or for someone to love you? Crazy. I need more deets. Okay, wait. I think I see you down lower here. The person who casted it never asked me and just randomly told me out of nowhere one day. Okay, so here's the fun thing with spells, and this might come up a bit later. Here's the fun thing with spells, Crazy. Sometimes they don't fucking work. I do what I want. Oh, that was you, Sting. Well, thanks. That's amazing. Thanks, guys. Sometimes spells don't fucking work. It depends on the situation. Also, how good the practitioner is, if I'm being quite frank. A lot of beginner witches who maybe don't don't know maybe the sense of connection, or maybe spell ingredients, or maybe timing of the spell, right? All of that comes into effect. Also, how well you work with the energy around you, because that's what magic is. Let's talk about what magic is and what spell casting is to then help me clarify the answer on, quite frankly, the spell might not be working. Do you feel drawn to the target of this love spell at all? Do you? Were you thrown in situations where it was like a little uncanny or not? Because then there's a good chance it might just not work. What spell casting is using resources at your disposal, whatever that may be, a good witch is creative, to navigate and direct the energy around you. As I said in my little thing earlier, rituals and spells do not create power, it directs it. So it takes whatever energy is out there right now and it directs it towards what you want it to go for. So money magic, it's pushing any kind of energy towards, like, yes, focus on good finances for me, bringing in money. A lot of times it's not just bringing in money, but a lot of good, or not, I shouldn't say good. A smart spellcrafter won't just do it for gaining money. It will be the flow of money, right? It will be bringing in money as well as being able to spend it, and is constantly flowing and being replenished. So there's like little caveats to that. Because it is just directing energy, it is kind of like water running through a system of pipes. Energy being the water. The water runs where it is easiest to get to. So if I do a money spell and I say, Alyssa, sit down and cast that money spell, you're going to make it big on YouTube. You're going to make it big on Twitch. It's going to be fucking crazy. And let's say I just go in there with the thought of money and that's it. Just finances. Nothing else at all. Let's also say I don't talk about the flow of money like I just said. Let's say I also sit on my ass and I don't actually stream that much. Let's say I decide to stream inconsistently, or maybe once a week for like 2 hours and that's it. Or I don't edit videos and post them to YouTube. If I cast that spell, sure, I might be directing let's say I do everything right. Let's say I use all the right ingredients. I'm talking with my ancestors, my spirit guardians, whatever. I'm doing all the things that I should be doing in a spell. And the energy is like being properly funneled towards that. If you sit on your ass and you don't create the opportunities to have it actually work, then all of it is for naught, right? You can dream of being a game developer or an author or an artist, but if you don't actually work on your craft, then it's not going to fucking happen. And that's kind of how magic is. It's like a two-parter. You need the magic and the mundane. And you'll hear that phrase a lot. Magic and mundane, they go together. You have to have both to create a fulfilling life. Which is why a lot of what I do as a witch has to do with mundane works in the everyday. So if you feel like it's not working on you or that you're good, then like you're fine. Your ex didn't pull off the spell well then. Do you know what I mean? It means they didn't do a good fucking job. If you do feel like the ex is clinging around you a bit, you can either do a very strong cleansing, or what I would call a purifying spell, to get the I wouldn't call it a curse, but like the spell, that energy off you that she's throwing towards you. Or if you really wanted, you could do a cord cutting spell. The cord cutting spell is what should I say? Potent. It means you don't want them in your life at all. If you still want to talk to them and you're like, well, I don't need to like fucking bring out the heavy guns, then you can just give yourself a good old, I would say, a purification spell, and then you'll be good to go. There's also a chance if the spell just straight up isn't doing its thing, then like you're fine. Like you're fucking fine. Okay, let me catch up with you guys real fast. I hope that answers your question. Crazy? Yeah, if Ramadan falls in the summer, you are somewhere where the sun doesn't set. Oh yeah, the light dark rule doesn't really apply. Oh fuck, Sting, that's a good point. In the sense, it's not that she's wait, hold on. Oh, not because my family is weird. I got you, Phil. The other way around, if it falls during the winter and there's like, oh yeah, that's true, if there's no light during the winter. I put a spell on you. They use mecha. Oh, they use mecha times no matter what, but who cares? The Comic-Con where we met him was very Disney. That's why he was there, because he works on the Disney films. Yep. Oh, I bet you could have gotten some cool autographs too. Yeah, Dim mentioned freezer spells. I love me a good freezer spell. Have I? I actually have done a freezer spell, so that makes two. Two spells. I have done a freezer spell before. I also use the freezer to disinfect said ingredients, like eggs or bones. You can use freezers to disinfect. That's nice. Part of me wants to rapid fire love spells out there just to cause chaos. God damn, Rick. Okay, hold on. Let me catch up. Hey, take it easy. I don't know who, JK. Maybe I'm not. I did a freezer spell for the first time recently. It was super helpful. I do love a good freezer spell. Freezer spells are amazing. Okay, love spell was made by my ex. It was mostly to want us to stay together, never separate. Frankly, that shit didn't work, obviously. She's come back a couple times. I mean, yeah, if that's the case, if you don't feel any kind of drawn to her, it makes me think it didn't work. I also personally don't like, I don't know, love spells are interesting to me. I'm sure sometimes they work. It seems, because here's the thing. If we're directing energy, right? Because in this politically charged stage of the world, a lot of people post online. A lot of people cast politically charged spells. But you have to imagine, if it's an energy thing, you know what I mean? Whatever you're putting out there, there's also people out there opposing you. So it's you know, it's like the water flowing through the pipes thing. And also if there's energy opposing each other, then it's not like your one spell is just gonna like shine through the night and like beat out everything else. You know what I mean? So like in her case too, her spell that she casted, again, which might not have been that good, like she might have also casted with like shit ingredients, or as in like didn't use stuff correctly. Maybe she doesn't have a strong spiritual connection with her ancestors or her deities or anything. Maybe she, like, there's all kinds of stuff that could have changed it, right? She's also trying to not just direct her own energy, she's trying to direct yours, which if you're the one that's like, I don't want this relationship, she's fighting against that. So it's like, it's all part of a big puzzle. You can't just cast a spell and be like, oh, it's gonna happen now. Like, you cast spells while also doing the work to make other things happen. Magic and mundane. It's paired together. Damn, crazy. A crazy ex casted a spell. You must be a keeper, bro. True. But you're probably good. If you feel any kind of like ick energy from her at all, love spell or not, you can do a purification spell, which there are lots of those you can find in books or online. A common one, honestly, a very common form of that is taking showers or baths and like literally imagining, like, here's a common one. You can imagine any kind of negative emotion you feel, any kind of curse, any kind of thing. Imagine it on your skin. It seeps out of you. Because again, a lot of spellcasting is like visualization or like meditation, that kind of thing. Imagine it on top of your skin or kind of easing out of you as like a tar. It's a sludgy substance. It's gross. It's icky. Kind of like, do you guys know that scene in Korra when she's getting that like mercury poison out of her and it's like oozing to the top of her skin? Imagine it like that. Any kind of negativity you're trying to get rid of. You go into the shower and the water is literally cleansing you. It's purifying you, which is, and people for centuries have used water for transformation and cleansing, because also that's what it's actually doing. That's its physical property. So like whatever the mundane property is, it's typically also its magical property. And you imagine that washing it all off of you. And that is a very, very basic, low ingredient, low component, easy way to do a little bit of like purifying and cleansing. Obviously, you can pull out the big guns if you have more ingredients, if you do work with spirits, if you have all of that. But like when you're just starting out, you can do stuff like that. That's how I started. Cross a body of water, take a ferry ride. Yeah, that too. Damn, absolutely. Like, see, those are everyday ways where it's like you can incorporate this into a practice. A shower, I'm out. I'm stanky. Word of the day is multifarious? I don't know what that means. We're discussing the multifarious aspects of witchdom. All right, next is Dim's slew of questions. I'm excited for this. Dim's slew of questions. How do the jars work? I'm assuming you mean spell jars. Let me actually move this over here. That'll help. Okay, I'm assuming Dim means spell jars. I had a friend who put a bunch of herbs in a jar and other things to cast intention spells. Yep. A jar spell is just another way of casting. So kind of like Jack's question earlier where I love candle magic. I actually haven't done jar magic, but maybe I will. Jar magic is it's eliciting the idea that movement and sound activate energy and helps kind of direct it, which is something I'm sure people here can think of, situations where sound is used to cleanse a space, right? You can think of gongs being used in some Asian cultures to cleanse a space. The little sound what are they called? The sound bowls. You know what I'm talking about? Wind chimes are sometimes used to cleanse a space. I think some of the Japanese also believe that when you leave a home for a while, so that you don't let evil spirits in the house, you have to have movement. Even if that movement is just the moving second hand of a clock, right? So jar spells kind of like elicit that sort of magic, that sort of use. Whenever you put the elements in the jar, it can be anything you want. For instance, you can have, peace and tranquility and put in things like lavender and chamomile, rosemary, that sort of thing. I'm thinking of herbs because herbs are mostly what I work with, but there's a lot of things you can throw in there. And then whenever you want to kind of like activate that spell, you shake it. So you can do it daily. Maybe you have it in front of you before you leave the house because you want a tranquil time before you leave the house. You can shake it. You can do it every day for money. You could do it for protection, that sort of thing. But yeah, that's kind of what it's used for. I hope that answers that. Who's Jack? Never heard of him? I love the crystal singing bowls. They're so nice. Why they gotta be so fucking expensive though? Why they gotta be like $150? I used to use those in children's hospitals. They're so good. If you guys don't know what we're talking about, you should look up the singing bowls. They're nice. I want one day, but I don't use it a ton in my practice. Sometimes, like, speaking of the sound thing, what people do, whenever I used to do glamour spells more often. It's just a seasonal thing. It just, sometimes I do it, sometimes I don't. But you can actually draw sigils on your face with like lotion, like moisturizer or sunscreen. I've done that with sunscreen for like protection. I draw sigils on my face and then rub it all in. But also whenever you like rub the lotion in your hand to warm it up, I like clap because it will like activate the energy as you're like trying to cast the spell and like think of the glamour. Oh, so it's not like you make it and then you forget it. I mean, you can, but it's like, it depends on how much you want it to do, right? I love doing daily spells because I feel like it helps it keeps my intention strong, where otherwise I know I'll kind of like forget or I'll let things slip through the wayside. You can just do it whenever you feel like you need it. Have the jar, shake it, have it somewhere. When you feel like, boy, I need an extra dose of that, go back and do it. Sometimes I know there's this one witch that I know, she keeps a jar in her car. She keeps it like in one of her cup holders and just like does it. Okay, new plan. We form a collective so we can all share a set of singing bowls. Let's do it. I'm down. Okay, Dim's next question. I believe it's pronounced sigil. You can't fool me with that. I know it's sigil. Sigle. Okay, what is the best and easy to do money spell? I'm going to start pulling out the books. This completely depends on what you're interested in. Because if you want the spell to be effective, you need to feel connected with it, right? I don't know, like, Dim, if you're wanting to cast a money spell, I don't know. I mean, it sounds like, if you know about freezer spells and shit, it sounds like you have a little bit of a practice going, right? So you probably know what you work with. I fucking love a candle spell. Give me that green candle. Surround that shit with, I would say basil. I would do basil. I would put, if I'm pulling out the big guns, put some crystals around it. Just some quartz. Zhuzh it up a little bit extra more. Cinnamon. I use cinnamon with fucking everything like that. Cinnamon puts that shit on overdrive, makes it happen fast. Get that in there. I typically anoint, when I've done money spells, I make my own goldenrod oil, which maybe it's still goldenrod season wherever you are. A goldenrod is a very pretty flower that blooms around this time of year in fall, which the fall is also, abundance. You're celebrating your harvest. You have a lot around you. It's the end of a lot of hard work. I make a goldenrod oil. I typically anoint the candle with it, and I will also draw sigils for money on the candlestick. That's why I love there's so much you can do with fucking candles. I'll kind of make a little spread of herbs and such around it. I will call my deities, my ancestors, etc. Light the candle. I normally try to do like a novena setup where I try to do it for like a full week or 10 days or the 9 days or whatever. Money bowls. Look up money bowls. Dim money bowls fucking rock. I haven't done one in a while, but honestly, I've been meaning to. And maybe now that it's getting to be Halloween, I do typically do more spell casting the dark side of the year. So fall and winter. Now that my garden slows down and I spend less time outside, I tend to do more altar work, meditation work, etc. Maybe I'll get a money bowl going this winter. Get the money bowls out. If you guys want ideas for spells, you can look them up online, but I also have a lot of books. I like Gotland balls. Oh, I said bowls. Yes. Bowls. Bowls. There are tons of books that have spells in them. This is one I don't still use a ton of, but it was so good to get ideas. And again, a lot of these books are beginner books, so I go to them for refreshers or ideas, but I don't live by them anymore, if that makes sense. Moon spells is a good one. This is a great way just to kind of it's a whole book of an encyclopedia of spells. So if you want spell ideas, this is great. There is also, can I cast a spell to find a job? You absolutely can. A money spell is a good way to do that, but there are different ones for careers. This book also has some stuff on that. Some of my books are a little more specific. For instance, Of Blood and Bones. This is one of my favorite witchcraft books ever. This is specifically more about a death practice. It calls it Shadow Magic of the Dark Moon. But if you want a look into my thought process, this is great. This does also mention actual blood magic, as in drawing blood from your body and working with it. I will say, I do not do that. I'm a bit too much of a bitch, quite frankly. And I also don't feel like I need to work with blood in my practice to make it more potent. But just, trigger warning, I don't know, spoiler. This does mention some of that. It's more like the ideas of this book are awesome. And all of the spells in it that do require that sort of thing, there are alternatives because they recognize, not everyone wants to do that. But this is a great book into, the nitty gritty of, a darker practice if you're into that. So this has some cool stuff in it, too. Would recommend that. There is a book, literally, because I love money magic. There is actually a book called Financial Sorcery, written by Jason Miller. This book, short, fantastic. If you want a quick little deep dive into I'm into money magic. Let's get the career shit going. Let's go. This rocks. This book rocks. I will say sometimes Jason Miller, because he's written a couple books on witchcraft, sometimes his writing can be a little holier than thou. A little bit, but if you read past that, the actual information in the book is great. Just throwing that out there. What happens when multiple witches combine powers to a spell? Is it like the Ghostbusters combining streams? Yeah, actually it is. It is. I mean, it depends. You have to be very you have to be comfortable with them because you don't want to stunt your own magic. Again, you're directing energy, so you need to be comfortable. You need to feel it. But yeah, if witches get together and they have a strong connection and strong practices themselves, it is like combining the streams. You're correct. Not really a witch or a constant practitioner, but I do have lots of habits that come from shamanic practices that are rooted in my culture. Yeah, and that kind of I get what you mean, because that kind of goes with the thing I was saying where a lot of people here probably do have witchy habits. And they might not call it witchy, and that's a-okay too. It's just, yeah, I get it. I get you. Hear me out. A charmed watch where you speak all of the witch stuff they put in a show. Also, don't be too harsh because it's my fave show. What show is it? Gotland balls are good too. I actually don't know what that is. Gotland? I don't know. Are you going to post these books on Discord? I can. I have a lot of them. These are not all of my witchy books. These are just ones that your questions today made me think of. But Pluronko, if you want that, I absolutely can post that. Gonna need to have a list of those books. Okay, I will do it. I will do it after stream. I'll post them all. Disney, don't ask for my blood. It's too late, Phil. She's already harvested it. I will say this book does do a good job though, because they even say like, if you're going to do that, please be like, it also talks about bone collection, ironic with the title, and like how to do that safely, how to do it ethically. For instance, if you're drawing blood, they recommend like you buy the way, oh fuck, I forget the name. You know the little device to get the pinprick? Like diabetics use it a lot, and they get the pinprick from their finger, and it's just like a little drop of blood. But because of that, the actual equipment they use is sterile and safe. Like that's the kind of shit they do, because they're still like, hey, don't be stupid. Don't just like be like TV and like cut the knife across your hand and give yourself permanent injuries. So it's less sexy than that, but that is a real thing that people out there do. Let me find Aladdin's genie lamp and wish for money. Don't tell him about my jar. I have been feeling woozy lately. Disney's your vampire, Phil. Oh, the show is called Charmed. Disney, I've actually been wanting to watch Charmed. I want to go back and watch some old, like Charmed. I have never seen Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Feel like I would love that shit. Want to watch that. Definitely a autumnal, but not creepy, is Gilmore Girls. I've never seen Gilmore Girls. I kind of want to go back and just watch that. 90s witch show. I still want to do it. Listen, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina is camp as hell. They get some right. They get a lot wrong. I still love it. I still fucking love that show, okay? Don't at me. It's fun. It's fun, and let me enjoy things. Basically, it's crystals inside a band of metal that allow the ball to spin. It's the best fidget toy ever. Oh, that's sick. I did not know that, Sting. I've never heard of them. A lancet! That is what it's called. It's often just called finger pricker. No, I believe they call it a lancet in this book. Also, pricker, hardly know her. Got him. There's a watch order for Buffy and Angel. I'll leave a link. Yes. Oh, shit. Maybe I'll be doing that soon. It's the season for it. I think it'd be great for you to watch and see your reactions to the witch stuff. That would be fun. Maybe I could watch it in Discord sometimes. I felt like the Discord stream Friday was so successful. I'm more inclined to do watch parties a bit more often. Just for like people that want to be there. I don't know. It was a lovely setup. Let's go to Dim's next question. I love the questions you guys are asking. Do you think some things, spells, incantation work better in certain languages? Oh, Dim, I would love to hear your answer on this in like, I don't know, a few years if you got more experience under your belt. Because as someone who only speaks one language, I feel like my answer on this is I have a limited perspective because I do only cast in one language. Even if a spell is written, let's say, what are some languages I'd probably cast in? Maybe Latin, if I'm getting it from like the Book of Solomon or something, right? Maybe German, because German is what I'm a little more used to. Maybe Old Irish, right? Because I work a lot with the Celtic pantheon, given my background. I don't think I would. Maybe Latin. I know enough Latin to get by, and I used to sing in Latin whenever I was in choir classes for my music degree at Florida State. So I'm a little more used to Latin, but I do feel like, because again, when you're casting a spell, it's directing the energy. I need to feel very connected with what I'm doing. And language is so important. If you're reading Tender is the Flesh, we've been talking a lot about that. How language can greatly affect your intention, what you're thinking, how you're processing the world around you. So if I'm casting a spell, I would probably do it in English just because that's what I'm most comfortable with. It would be sick as hell to become fluent or somewhat fluent in Old Irish one day, because I do so much work with that pantheon that I feel like, I don't know, on the spiritual level, my God, would that be potent? Do you know what I mean? If I'm working with any kind of deity, I don't know if you're because some people then work with like Greek pantheon, super popular, even if you're not Greek. A lot of people work with the Greek mythological figures because they are very powerful, because people still love Greek mythology to this day, right? They have a lot of power and influence, much more than the Celtic pantheon in that regard, but that's okay. Nordic pantheon, right? Everyone still loves Odin. Everyone still loves Freya, Thor. If you can say some kind of incantation in those tongues and still feel connected with it, that'd be fucking amazing, dude. That'd be amazing. How do you make sure the spells don't hurt anyone else? For example, if a sick person asks to get back to health, how do they make sure they aren't trading their illness with someone else? Yes. So this kind of goes with the whole thing I was saying to Crazy earlier about like, you're just directing energy, it's water through the pipe. Spells don't backfire. That's something you'll hear people ask a lot. Like, what if the spell backfires and actually it's on me? Especially with baneful magic, that shit does not happen. Worst case scenario, again, it's trying to find, energy will go where it is easiest, right? That's a rule of life in physics. Like energy, like heat and movement, right? Kinetic energy, that kind of thing, right? When you're speaking in physics, it goes where it can the easiest until it fizzles out, right? Or it changes into like friction, heat, whatever, byproducts of the energy moving, right? Magical energy works the same, which is another reason why I always say, like, whatever I do in my magical practice, I do strongly believe somehow science in the later years will find a way it's like connected and like this is how it works. But because of that, magic does not backfire. It doesn't backfire on you. It goes the way it can, and maybe there's a particularly strong barrier in front of it where it just fizzles out and it cannot make it through there. So if you're casting a spell to heal somebody, if it doesn't get there, it just means your magic was not powerful enough to get past that obstacle, or the obstacle was just so big, right? I bring up politically fueled magic because you can imagine a lot of spells have been casted for certain things to happen, and it's just, there's a lot of energy being thrown around in this space that it's like sometimes the obstacles can be too much. Sometimes a spell can have an unexpected effect, but it will not be so much as a backfiring, because maybe it's like, healing somebody from a sickness, and then the sickness turns into, I don't know, maybe they got like antibiotics for it or something. They got medicine for it, but they're not all the way better. That's not even a good example. I'm trying to think of, we're talking about money magic. Let's talk about money magic examples. You want to get a job. Let's say the spell helps you get an interview, but not a job, or helps you network. Maybe it doesn't help you get a job, but it got your work on, or what am I trying to say? On the radar of some people, and it didn't go all the way. I'd say like that could happen where it's like unexpected. Or maybe it helped you got a job where you're like, I wasn't expecting this job. I wanted this one instead, but this is all I got. That kind of thing can happen. Casting in a language you don't know makes me immediately think a grammar mistake would make it all go horribly wrong. But see, that's what I mean by like connecting to it. Like if I don't know what the fuck I'm saying, that sucks. Shared some pictures in PhotoShare on Discord. Ooh. What, the Gotland balls? I don't want to lose my spot yet. So hold on, let me get through Dim's thing. I think we have one more question from Dim for this section. What was the book you learned the most from when it comes to witchy things? Oh, of all my books. Learned the most from? That's tough. It depends on what you mean. I have my favorites. No, you know what? If you guys are interested in spells, I'd say this. Elements of Spellcrafting. This is also by Jason Miller, the guy who wrote the Financial Sorcery one. Elements of Spellcrafting is going to be, if there's no other book you read, but you want to start practicing, this is a good one. This will get your spell game there. For my philosophy, kind of tied. It's kind of tied. I have this one. This is called Walking the Twilight Path. Gothic Book of the Dead. This is my philosophy. Check out Dim's post and memes too. Oh no. Okay, I'll do that after this question. This is my philosophy as a death practitioner. I find this fascinating. There's a lot of really great stuff in here. So philosophically, this book. If you want to get to spells and shit, this fucking rocks. If you want to know about visualization and meditation, Psychic Witch. There's also a second book on this I haven't read. This is really good if you're like, it depends. If you're wanting to practice, this is more of like the meditation, visualizing day-to-day shit. This is like, I'm ready to craft spells. Let's go. And then of course, because I practice with the Celtic pantheon, I do have some books on Irish mythology that I read, and I feel like that has helped a lot as well. Okay, hold on. Check Dim's post in the name. Can you put your book recommendations in Discord later too? Yeah, absolutely. I'll kind of put what I use them for as well. I just like the author Aaron. He's the ex-partner of a good friend. Oh, he's giving me the ick. Yikes. Yikes, yikes. Yeah, definitely some of these books. I feel like the beginner witchy books sometimes have... Okay, hear me out. I'm picky about the nonfiction I read, especially the more I've read now. I've read many of these years ago. I feel like self-help, or no, sorry, nonfiction like these can sometimes have a self-help, holier than thou, allow me to help you, little one, or kind of like a preachy vibe. So just an air of warning about that. I got that less from this one, which is why this one's one of my all-time favorites. This one I have wonderful, wonderful things to say about. But it is very specific, if that makes sense. I do have the book, I just couldn't get through it. Yeah, it's definitely, this one I feel like is one of the least sexy books. Like, hard to get through, but it does have a lot of good visualization ideas, techniques in it, if that makes sense. All right, let me check Discord. Okay, where is it? We got shit posting. How to summon a demon. Man, I hate cursive. Wait, I gotta show that. Hold on. Wait. That's cute. What was the other thing? Whoa! That's the Gotland ball? Okay, wait, this is adorable. That's adorable. Hold on, I gotta look at that later. That's Disney's Comic-Con wall. This is cool as shit. Oh, that's cool. I love that. I love the way that looks. What? Oh. Okay. Hold on, let me find where I was. Oh, we got some new questions since coming in. Okay, hold on. I got you. Okay, Disney asks, did you by chance curse me? No. If so, I apologize, and can you please uncurse me? If you didn't, can you by chance do a live uncursing for me? Disney, that whole rubbing the egg on you and then burying it or throwing it out, I would, yeah, maybe throw it out. That's real. That's real. And if it's Mexican magic and you're Mexican, all the more reason to do it. You got that ancestral bond, you know? Do it. I used to be more into witchy things when I was younger, but the books I found back then were either books for young witches, use some juice to make recess better. Oh my God, really? Or Witch of the Soul, where you need a whole garden and a forest to practice what we teach here. Yeah, there's actually a lot of books I know on modern witch stuff where it's like, hey, I live in a city where I have no backyard. I have one window in my kitchen. Like, what do I do? So those exist too. There's no in between. Yeah, I think I also think there's been a lot more people publishing books. If I'm being really frank, saying this as a tough reader. I think there are a lot of people publishing books that maybe shouldn't be, which is why I say go into it with with some discretion with what you're reading. It's also why I have moved past a lot of books themed for witches, hence books, Books themed for witches. And I don't really read stuff like this anymore. If I do, it needs to be very particular. It needs to be something like, the fuck? Yeah. It needs to be something very particular, something that itches my interest, and I've heard such stellar things about it. I'm at the point now in my practice, like I said, it would help me more to read about history. It would help me more to read about religion, religious practices, that sort of thing. And also just practicing on my own, like getting out and just doing it. They can sprint freely in there. I got one with a tiger's eye, and the fastener is a tiny Chinese dragon. That's so cool. Speaking of books, turns out my library has Malleus Maleficarum, the Hammer of Witches. Why does that sound familiar? Oh, Rick, wait, you've told me about this book before. Published in the late 15th century, it provided a guide for hunting and persecuting witches that would heavily influence the next 200 years of the European witch craze. Probably be coming after me in modern days then. Is a refrigerated egg good enough, or does it need to be fresh out of the chicken? Refrigerated is good. Just like if you can't summon the fires of hell, store-bought's fine. It has to do with Disney. If you want to know why, to answer your question with a bit more substance, it is because the egg symbolizes life, and you're actually transferring the curse onto another being. That is why. That is why that works. The egg is innocent. It's life. It is abundance, and it sucks up all that negative energy for you. The shell is reminiscent of protection. It's why I use eggshells sometimes in my protective spells. And you're transferring it all in there. It's stuck in there, and you throw that shit out of your life. That's why it's supposed to work that way. I'm hyperboling a bit. Hyperboling. But yes, I had a book for kid witches as a teenager and a book on witchcraft where you needed a full budget. See, that's ridiculous. Witches are meant to be like that's another thing. Even if I talk about like candles and like, oh, get your herbs and shit. The point of being a witch is to be resourceful with what you have. If all you have is the salt in the kitchen that you just used to salt your dinner with when you were cooking, then by golly, that's all you have. Look, I'm Mexican, so I'm sure I can find someone with a chicken if I needed to. Shared mind, what it looks like? Let me see. Oh, that's cool. Hold up. Hold on. I got you guys. Oh, that's so pretty. Okay, hear me out. This is a deep cut. Did anybody remember Witch? W.I.TCH with the girls. They're the magical girls. And they dress up with like the pink crop tops and like the blue and green striped socks and shit. This looks like the heart of Kandrakar. Does anybody remember that? That's going to be such a deep fucking take. Sting gets it though. You know it. Thank God. You got that one too? The heart of Kandrakar, man. People who get that, you're the real ones. You're the real ones out there. Written by a white dude with a fragile ego. I'm sorry, I'm also gaming. I have no idea why I hit my caps lock. No, that's true though. I mean, like, it's yeah, God, that's real. That's real. Modern witches are easy to defeat. Just block their TikTok and they're shaking in the corner, not knowing what to do with their life. Yeah. I mean, there do be some witches on TikTok that, not that I'm even on Witch Talk at all, but in any field, it seems like there are clout chasers. We're talking about things that they probably shouldn't. You know what I mean? Okay, we go back to Echo has some more questions. Have you shared with your family or friends at large that you're a witch? If so, how did that go? Yeah, I think for the most part, I'm pretty open about that now. Now that I'm open about that on the internet, I do openly tell people, like, yeah, I'm a practicing witch. I did not at first. I was very quiet about it for years, probably 2 or 3 years. Obviously, Alex knew about it first. You know, that's easy peas. Of course, he's going to know about me. And he, I think, knew about as I was kind of like experimenting with like, you know, hey, Alyssa, why are you sticking things in the freezer? I remember there was a time he found my eggshells in the freezer. I was disinfecting them and he was like, Alyssa, what's this bag? Or like I'd stick feathers in the freezer and I'd be like, don't worry about it. You know, like it's fine. But now just he knows, he's chill with it. It took much longer to come out to family about it, particularly like older generation of family, because I didn't want them to be like, because witch, you guys know, as I'm speaking about it, has specific connotations that growing up before knowing that you could actually practice this shit, I thought it was fake. It's like, oh, it's just something from TV. Haha, magic isn't real. And if I told people I was a witch, I was scared that they would think I needed to be like watched over or something. That was a real fear of mine, telling some extended family members. So I didn't for a while until I think they slowly saw kind of like some of my interests, right? Like when people come and visit my room, you can't see because the curtain's closed, but like I have a protection sigil hung from my window, right? I have like skulls everywhere. I have my pillar candles out. It feels very witchy. So I think they kind of saw slowly like what I was interested in. And then it slowly kind of opened the door for like, oh yeah, I practice. Or like another easy one was me celebrating the solstices and the equinoxes. And then I do celebrate the cross-quarter holidays, like Samhain and stuff. So when they saw I also celebrated those as my holidays more so than your typical American holidays, because I don't really feel like celebrating those as often, I think they started getting like, oh yeah, okay, she is kind of a witch, isn't she? And then whenever I just started using that word, they were like, yeah, oh, you actually have that one physically, Sting? I don't have it here, though. It's in my childhood room. I remember I was super disappointed because it was flat. Boo. That made me think of that TikTok I sent you, the girl with the bird beaks. Yeah! It is kind of like that, though. Disney, you're right. Okay, Echo also asks, has witchcraft changed your relationship with material things, manufactured things, or capitalism? Yeah. I think that kind of goes with Jack's question earlier. It's like they kind of feed off of each other. Practicing my craft has made me more aware of my impact on the world. Not that I was ever unaware of it, but the more I practice, the more I want to help. You guys have no idea how happy I was when the lot of trees next to us was going to be cleared out and then it wasn't. And this summer we had so many birds and fireflies and animals that live in there, and it just makes my heart happy. Makes my little heart happy. Manufactured things. Even sometimes people buy witchy ingredients, and I'm all for that, especially if you're like helping out local businesses and stuff. But I really do try to like source things as sustainably as I can. That's another thing that I've tried to do more of as well. It was super cheap and came from the comic. Oh, it was just, okay. A kabuchan? I don't know what that is. Piece of glass on a piece of flat metal. It was shape of the heart. It's disappointing. Did anyone else get the McDonald's crystal necklace when Atlantis was in theaters? And it was that little crystal they'd use to like drive their vehicles and stuff. I was so into that shit. I was pogged out of my gourd when I got that, man. Okay. We next have some of Rick's questions. Rick has a lot. Are you still there, Rick? Here we go. When one comes out as gay or queer, etc., it's called coming out of the closet. Is there a version for coming out as a witch, coming out of the broom closet? Publicly put on the pointed hat? Rick, actually, you nailed it with your first guess. Coming out of the broom closet is a common colloquialism that is used in the witchcraft community. So yes, you nailed it. It is coming out of the broom closet. I came out of the broom closet in 2021. Ironically, which is around the time I came out of the closet as well. Came out of the closet actually a year later. But it was also because I didn't know I was in the closet, if I'm being honest. As soon as I was kind of like, wait a minute, I was just really open about it, which is just my particular journey with it. So me too, but because the dude was a linguist. Wait. Use decorations and crafts and stuff. Wait, did I miss something? I might have missed something, guys. I'm sorry. Those went over my head. Are there lineages of witchcraft? For example, ones of Celtic origins, ones of American versus European origin, religious versus non-religious origins. And if so, Which one doth thou practice and why? Oh, Atlantis! Sorry. Okay, Rick, that's a phenomenal question. I can't wait to talk about that. Oh, yeah, me too, but the dude was the lingual. Okay, yeah, Milo. Milo from Atlantis. I love that film. That was such a good one. Oh, you're talking about what Cabochon was. Okay, and Cabochon is what the dome shape is. Oh! Sting, I've never heard that word. Okay, that explains my confusion. I thought y'all were talking about the same thing. Though now I realize it's called Cabochon. I've still never heard of that. Okay, so Rick, referring to your question about lineages, if there's lineages of witchcraft, it is no different than, I feel like, this is the family business and it's been handed down from generations. It's not the mystical thing you see on TV where it's like, oh, you come from a long generation of witches and now you have these magical powers too. Like any person on this earth, you being a human experiencing this life and this mortal coil, you are able to practice magic if you want. It is not like you have to be born into a family of witches to be able to practice. That's not how that works. Because as inherently as human beings are beings of the world around us, it's actually has to do with the idea of spirit work. Like when I say I work with spirits, that can be spirits like of actual, like my ancestors. That can be house spirits are a thing. You can actually read about house spirits. Google them. I have a book on house spirits that works, or it has some great spells in it. There's spirits of the land. There's guardian spirits, tree spirits. That's a huge thing. And by my definition of spirits, like that word might make it sound like, oh, Alyssa's working with ghosts. Not necessarily. It just has to do with like entities and their general vibe. Us each as people, I would classify as a spirit. Like I am technically a spirit working with the spirits around me. You are each a spirit, and with your own cognition can work with other spirits around you. So no, anyone's able to practice. As far as origins go, I personally feel wait, what's happening? Don't watch Charmed then? I mean, Sabrina's like that. You know, Sabrina the Teenage Witch, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, they're all like, oh, you come from a line of witches. You're a half witch, half mortal. Oh, and it's, you know, it's a fun gimmick. But that's all it is. It's a gimmick. As far as actually practicing, okay, religious versus non-religious, etc., this entirely depends on what you want to do. So I practice with deities of the Celtic pantheon. Really one in particular. I love... I follow the Morrigan, but I do follow the Celtic pantheon in general. I do also follow that a little bit of the Nordic pantheon, but not nearly as much. The Celtic pantheon is because I am Irish by blood. I'm Irish and English by blood, which is funny. If you know, you know. But yeah, that whole region is where like my DNA pretty much mostly comes from. Got a little bit of, I also have Italian in me. And Italian witchcraft is something I really want to dabble in for similar reasons. It's just where my ancestry comes from. And I do work with my ancestors a lot in my practice. A lot. I do weekly offerings for my ancestors. And it helps me feel more connected with them. I also feel, given my, you know, genealogical connection with them, that it's I don't know, it's fitting. Something about it feels like returning to home for me. Even though I am American, it's still returning to my roots and returning to the people that helped me get where I am. And a lot of ancestor work is like that. It's a lot of like listening to your gut. It's realizing that you're here because your ancestors helped get you to where you are. And I don't know. I love doing that kind of work. I do have a book that will get anyone. It's how I started my ancestor practice. That was largely so fulfilling. It's called Honoring Your Ancestors. This is amazing. It also teaches you a bit about saint work, which I didn't know a ton about before doing this. Yeah, I don't know. It makes me feel like a return to home, if that makes sense, even though I am an American and I am aware of that. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm Irish. Because because I know I'm not, but I am also like a second-gen American. My family does have very strong roots across the pond, and I want to try to relate to that a bit more, you know? Religious versus non-religious is interesting because here's something people don't know. I can't attest to this. I am just a broad witch because I practice witchcraft, and that label appeals to me. I feel like it matches what I do. There are people out there who are Catholic witches, and there are Christian witches. I know Catholic witches are common in Italian witchcraft. I've never really been raised Catholic or grew up Catholic myself, even though my grandparents did. Like, I don't know how my mom wasn't Catholic because she grew up in a Catholic household. So I don't know how the fuck that happened. I don't know how I wasn't raised in a Catholic household then, but whatever. I wasn't. So, yeah, Catholic witches are a thing. Catholic witchcraft. It's very common in Italian culture. I wonder how that would actually influence even like Mexican witchcraft, which I don't really know a ton about. I know Mexican witchcraft is prolific though. There's a lot of good stuff out there for it. But yeah, okay, Rick, I think that pretty much answers that question. I talked to a streamer who visited an occult and witchcraft shop in the UK near where she lives. It's been an active one or another since the 1700s. Tonto? Is that the name of it, Tim? That's sick. I would love to go see stuff like that. This song is distracting me. Next. I don't want to call upon my ancestors. I can already guess how disappointed they are in me. Nonsense, Rick. Your ancestors want the best for you. They always do. Tonto is Finnish? Oh, fuck. Okay, I didn't know. I don't know. I'm not Finnish. I'm like, listen, an ancestor test told me I was like 0.2% Finnish. I'm not gonna. I ain't gonna count it. It's like a gnome. There's house tontos and sauna tontos. Oh, and Christmas tontos. Okay. Oh, that's cool. So that's like, do you think that's related to like Finnish house spirits? I wonder. That's fascinating. I kind of think Mexican witchcraft isn't like noted as witchcraft. Like it's very normalized. So Disney, I do know, I think I know what you're saying. You're saying in general, Mexican culture. Okay. If I wasn't a practicing witch, if I was a layman, I would say Mexican culture then has like naturally more like superstitions, right? Or does more with that sort of thing. I do know there are a lot of books, like how I have like all these beginner books on tons of different subjects. Much like Italian witchcraft is something that does have a lot of books on it. Mexican witchcraft is something that I think is like, there's some really good resources out there. If you or anyone is interested in that, I may even like, I kind of want to branch out and just learn about that kind of stuff. I've actually branched out and learned a little bit about Tibetan magic, even though like, because surprise, I'm not Mexican. So I don't feel as much of a draw to practice Mexican magic, but I do feel like it is good to, I don't know, just learn and be like a more well-rounded individual. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you were talking about house spirits, but like are tontos kind of like, tontus, I don't know how to say it. Is that like a kind of house spirit for you guys or not really? Okay, Disney says, for example, the egg thing. Literally any Mexican you talk to will know about that and it's not viewed negatively. That's cool though. But see, so that's kind of what I mean by like, for instance, if I told a regular Christian, Disney, if I went up to, I would say what I would call a typical practicing Christian, and I told them praying to God is casting a spell, they would say, fuck no. They would say, no, it's not. Don't say that about me. They would not say hanging the cross in their house is hanging a protection sigil of sorts. But in some ways, it kind of is, isn't it? You know what I'm saying? It's the crossover. They would say, no, it's not. In my mind, that is definitely like a form of witchcraft, but I also understand if people don't want to call it that. It's just like a perspective thing. There's also people out there, I should say, this is actually, I think, related to one of Rick's questions coming up. Just because you practice magic does not mean you practice witchcraft. There are people out there that prefer to be called sorcerers. There are people out there that prefer to be called magicians. And witchcraft is not necessarily something they practice. Witchcraft, or to be a witch, is a very broad term, but it does not encompass everything. A witch is someone who practices witchcraft, which does deal with magic. But there are people who just work with magic that do not like to be considered a witch. Just like some people get confused with Wicca. When Wicca was on the rise, people think everyone who's a witch is a Wiccan. They're the same. They're not. Wicca is a religion, is a specific religion with the specific rule set that comes with religion. I am just a witch and I do my own thing. I follow what I do. Yeah, the lore is that the house Tonto, I'm sorry if I'm butchering that, is a house spirit. And if you make too much noise and you make it mad, it will give you porridge. You have to give it porridge to appease it? That's house spirit shit. I love that, Rick. Let's go. I do simmer pots around this time of year to appease the house spirits. Not really appease. I've always had I'm on good terms with my house spirits. I do simmer pots for them though. I cut up like apples and oranges and the cinnamon sticks and clove. And you just boil it on some water. It makes the house smell all good. It's good shit. Better keep your tonta happy. That's so cute. We even have Dia de los Muertos, which I'm sure is technically witchcraft in a way, but for us, it's not. It's just our culture. Yeah. I mean, okay, Disney. This is something I also want to talk about with Rick's thing. I'm just going to call it Day of the Dead because Spanish is hard for my tongue. I'm going to trip over my words. But yes, Day of the Dead has, you know how I was talking about connection earlier? I was talking about how there's things we do across cultures, across the whole fucking world where we celebrate the same things, or all of us across the fucking world. Explain to me how we've all used salt for protective qualities and for getting rid of negative energy. Tell me how we all came up with that. That's weird. So, Day of the Dead has so many similarities to Samhain. Even the fact that they're celebrated around the same fucking time of year, almost to the day. Samhain being the Celtic name, the old Irish name for Halloween. And obviously, like, you know, things evolve as humanity has evolved, right? And cultures have become more globalized and whatever. But no, I definitely get what you mean. It's a cultural thing. But that also kind of makes sense because if you look at like, I don't know, okay, go to some Asian cultures. I'm saying all of this from a very surface level. But like Shintoism does a lot of things or believes in a lot of things that I do in my witchcraft practice that a lot of witches do, or a lot of just magic practitioners do across the world. And like that's not necessarily unique to one thing or another. Shintoism talks about animism. Like I would consider myself an animist, which is when you believe everything kind of has a spirit or its own spiritual identity almost that you work with. So when I talk about us being spirits working with each other, like that's similar. That doesn't make me Shinto, but that is also like talked about in other practices across the world. Like that's crazy that we've all come up with these same ideas. It's cool. Like we build ofrendas for our ancestors and we give them offerings. And it's not like, oh, these people are weird or evil or something. It's just a thing we do. No, yeah. And I actually believe a lot of Asians do that. Asian cultures do that with, I'm not talking about Shinto specifically now, but like offerings and remembering your ancestors, remembering the dead, honoring them. Yeah, and I know that doesn't inherently make it witchy either. It's funny. It's funny how a lot of Abrahamic religions have just kind of like changed they've changed the landscape. It's a wild thing, particularly Christianity post Crusades. Things have changed a lot. I think the Christian witches do a lot with angels. Yes, they do, working with archangels and stuff. Yeah, archangels, yes. That is common. That's why I have to say hi and bye to your house whenever you enter or exit. But see, sometimes I do shit like that just to be nice. I don't know. It just makes me feel nice. This is also coming from the kid where like after I watched Toy Story, not even after, I think even before I watched Toy Story, like I would be nice to all of my toys. Like if I dropped a toy on the ground, I'd be like, oh my God, I'm sorry. I would just feel bad. My boring guess is that salt preserves food and keeps it safe to eat. Hence, no, in Pluronco, and that very well might be the case. But also, we're going back to the whole mundane properties equal magic properties, right? Like with water. See what I mean? Uh-huh. My knowledge of Asian ancestor worship is limited to Disney's Mulan. Get out of here. Okay, Rick, let me go on to your next question. You're waiting patiently. What is the origin of the classical witch fit of the cloak and the pointed hat? I actually have no fucking idea. Can you believe that? She says wearing the hat. I'm going to be real with you on this one. I have no fucking idea. I feel like wearing black in general is because, unfortunately, this actually has racial ties. To wear white is to be pure and to be good, and to wear black is to be evil. And that is actually racially tied, at least in Western European cultures, which I'm sure many of you know that. Probably doesn't come to a surprise, but related. That's also why I don't use the term black magic. I try to avoid that as much as possible now, except for like as I'm explaining it right now. But you won't catch me saying like, oh, that shit's black magic. Because black magic is also racially informed. It comes from like actual black people casting magic and people viewing that as like they're up to no good. They're evil. We gotta stop the black magic. So fun fact, if you didn't know, that's actually where it came from. So yeah, maybe the color is associated with it for that regard. Maybe like evil, and they view witches as being evil. But I couldn't tell you about the cloak and the hat. Could not tell you. Continuing on Dim's questions on spell languages, is it about the words or the intention or energy? Could a mute person be a witch? I would say it's a bit of both. A mute person absolutely could be a witch. To be a witch is not. This is an inclusionary practice. Like I said, anyone can do it because there's a million different ways you can interact with the world and the energy around you. I say both, however, because someone in my case, right, where I'm not mute, words and language are powerful for me, especially because I read language, and words already have a very meaningful space in my life. And then energy, and then you mentioned energy or intention. Words are one of many ways I can kind of manipulate said energy, right? Words, ingredients, sound, as I've mentioned, working with the spirits around you. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. So words may or may not be one of those ways to do it. I'm not mute. Surprise, surprise, and just chatting. That's kind of ironic that it's in the just chatting category. But yeah, so words are important. I will say I cast many spells where I don't speak a word out loud. I actually use more, I think, written word in spells than I do actually saying it out loud. If I say out loud, it means I'm pulling out the big guns. Why do nuns wear black then? Oh shit, Seesaw, you're right. I don't know. Maybe that has to do with the thing, like, isn't it like nuns are celibate? Okay, hear me out, because we're going to like the purity thing, right? Because we all know for some reason people were obsessed with that shit, especially back then. Disney's got power! That's great! Let's go. Okay, signifies penance and humility. Okay, that's interesting. I was going to say, because aren't nuns, like, they're celibate, but it's like they're committed to God. Wasn't it supposed to be like, oh, they're married with God? Like, God is the one I'm with. So maybe it's like they're taken. Like, they're like, I'm God's woman now. Only he. Okay, but penance and humility? Sure, that's better. That's probably better. Black doesn't get dirty. There you go. That's very true. I'm very happy about our new car is black. That's nice. That's nice. But yay to Disney getting power. Let's go. Just to record the understatement of the century. Thanks. Thank you. Okay, what else? What's a familiar? Is Percy your familiar? Yeah, so a familiar, you can okay, this is how I think of it. There might be witches out there that have different takes. A familiar is an animal that helps with your craft. Whatever your craft may be. It could be casting a spell. It could be working in your garden. It's really easy for me to think of situations that would apply to me. So I know there's others out there that I can't think of. But it's any kind of animal that would help you with your witchcraft. It also tends to be an animal that you are greatly attached, not even just attached to, but like people say they have a connection with their familiar, with their craft, in this way where it's like when you're doing something for your craft, you're like feeding off of each other. Not feeding, like that makes it sound almost kind of negative, but you're like working with each other. The familiar helps you with your craft, whatever that may be. And they almost seem fucking knowledgeable of it. So by that, no, unfortunately, Percy is not my familiar. When we first got Percy, I was like, maybe he's come into my life for this reason, baby. Is it gonna happen? No. He couldn't give a fuck. He couldn't give a fuck about it. I love my baby. I'm deeply attached to him. He is not my familiar. He couldn't give any fucks more. Or any fucks less, rather. Yeah, it's sad. I wanted him to be. And that's okay. He's still my baby. I still love him. I'd die for him like my familiar. For some, black represents being dead to the world and its temptations. Okay, that would make sense. So we're kind of on the right wavelength a little bit. The electrical people haven't come in yet to tell us, but it's up and everything just turned back on like magic. See, Disney? I got the curse off of you. You're fine. I'm feeding off my cat? Is your cat your familiar? Just because you have an animal doesn't mean it's your familiar. You can also have a familiar not as your pet. That's probably important to talk about. You can have a familiar in the way that I think some people... Oh, God. Oh, that's a cursed one. You can have a familiar in the way that... Okay, hear me out. You guys have heard of spirit animal. That's another term I try to avoid because I think it means something that it doesn't actually, from like Native American culture. But we've all heard the term quote unquote spirit animal, right? Or something like that. An animal you're deeply connected to, you feel an affinity with. I have two of those. Deep affinity. Well, I guess you could say three. Dogs, foxes. I love them, particularly foxes, hence my sweater. Feel a deep affiliation with them. Whenever I see them in the wild, sometimes that means like something's going down. You know what I'm saying? There's a connection there for me where I would consider them generally a familiar. Another one is the raven. And a part of that is because I work with the Morgan the way that I do in my practice. But the raven also has deep lore for me. And I adore them. Ravens and crows, really, in general. Alyssa, have you read his Dark Materials? No? I'm listening, though. What is that? So, yeah, sometimes you can have a familiar that's like an animal in general that will help deliver messages or signs or just something to kind of keep an eye out on. And it typically is an animal that you are more connected to. What do witches believe about life after death? That completely depends on who you ask. I could literally do like a TED talk on what my beliefs are with that. Some people believe in reincarnation. Some people believe that you join your ancestors. Some people believe you join like the divine, like higher self type of stuff that you'll hear people talk about. Some people believe that you'll kind of join land spirits in that sense and just kind of like join the amalgamation that is all of the spirits that were. Mine is very complicated. I'll try to put it. Do you want to know? Do you all want to hear what my beliefs are about life after death? Or is that too woo-woo for some of you? Because I totally understand if it is. Let me know. But yeah, that completely depends on who you ask. I think everyone says something different. Could anyone be a witch? Why or why not? I kind of answered that earlier. 100% yes. We are all beings coming from the same place. No matter what your beliefs, that's probably the same. All beings coming from the same place. Anyone can manipulate the energy around them. What makes a person good or a powerful witch? Your ability to work with said energy around you. So, I find witches that have good relationships with the spirit around them tend to be more potent practitioners. And by spirits, in my practice, that's kind of divided into a couple different categories. Ancestors is one type of spirit you can work with. And that's kind of obvious. It's your ancestors of your blood past, but not just your blood past. Like, for instance, in my case, it can be also women. It can be artists and artists trying to break into an industry, right? I venerate them. It can be queer people, other queer people, your queer ancestors, not just one's blood related to you, but people who have paved the way for you to, me in my case, for me to be able to be out as like ace, and that asexuality is a thing, and that I'm biromantic and I can be both, and that those are real and not looked down upon for me saying that, right? The queer people of past who has paved the way for me to be able to live my life like this, those are also ancestors, right? So that's, ancestors are one. Deities are one, which that's probably more of a given. Gods, goddesses, deity entities from any pantheon, really. There's land spirits and what I would call guardian spirits. So that's typically, land spirits count as this is your spirit of trees, the forests, rivers. Do you remember that one boulder that you liked to climb a lot as a kid and you're like, I fucking love this spot? That boulder has a spirit, and maybe you have such an affinity for it because you and that spirit were actually like pretty good friends a little bit. This also includes house spirits. House spirits are like in this category. Yeah, I would say those are like my three main ones. So your relationship with said spirits, I think. Oh, also in this last one, kind of another one, plant spirits. I call them plant allies, but yeah, that's kind of in the same. Your relationship with those spirits are what determine, in my opinion, how strong of a witch you are, because that's what you draw on. I can manipulate the energy within myself, but the more friends I have, the more ingredients that also work with that kind of stuff helping me out, makes it more powerful when I actually cast the spell, if that makes sense. Okay, let me catch up because I see people asking questions. Hold on. Okay, it's a famous fantasy series where a part of a person's soul manifests as their spirit animal. Poorly explained, I'm sorry. No, that's okay. I totally get it. It's hard sometimes with the verbiage. It has witches, some of which have Finnish names, which are partly defined as witches by their ability to be parted with their spirit animal. Oh, that's cool. I think it also has a series now or a movie on HBO. What's it called? His Dark Materials? I'll look into that. Yeah, there's a movie from far ways back, a newer HBO show. Too many differences between the series and the books, not that I can remember. It was a bit rushed, and I guess I wasn't a fan of the casting, but that was ages ago. It's hard to remember. That's cool, though. But to be fair, it's a tough series to adapt. So is it originally a series first and not a book? I don't know why. For some reason, I thought we were talking about a book. Would someone who hasn't read the book would someone who hasn't read the book enjoy it? Okay, I saw it on catalog and was intrigued. Where do people ask questions, by the way? I'm sorry if it says somewhere I'm on my phone so things are cut off. Oh, that's okay. Seesaw, if you also... Okay, there's an AMA thread in the Discord. Also, you can ask here. Dim nailed it. If you have questions, I will answer them. Because I'm actually getting close to the bottom. I'm getting there. Movie's not that great, but the series is following the book a lot closer. Okay, original is book from the late 90s. Great read. Okay, I'm more likely to read it. You guys know I'm not great with TV and film. More likely to read for sure. Okay, in Star Wars, there are good Jedi and evil Sith. Is there an equivalency in Witchcraft where there's a group, most people go, yeah, don't hang out around those freaks? Off the top of my head, no. I think you have quote unquote quote crazy groups anywhere. You're always gonna have the radical sect of people anywhere. So I don't want to say no, that doesn't exist. Does that exist in a big way that I know about it? No. I actually think a lot of modern witches realistically have a solitary practice like I do. No, read Dungeon Crawler, Carl. I got so much I'm reading right now. I just started Lord of the Rings. I'm busy. um, but yeah, I think a lot of which, especially nowadays, have a solitary practice. There are covens that you can join. I do know that's a thing. I do know you can probably find covens near you. Like I joked around, like sometimes there are Facebook events where it's like it's thrown by this coven. Join the sound bath tonight if you want to, join us. Um, I do know there are some people, as you know, that co-opt symbols from old cultures, much like the Third Reich took swastika is technically it's co-opted from Hinduism. It's like their symbol for nirvana. And now that symbol, if you see it, means fucking something else. And I hate that shit. There are definitely people out there that practice that are what I would consider very right-winged. And maybe like a little yikes, big yikes. But I think that's just the way anything is nowadays. You know what I mean? Maybe not even nowadays, since the dawn of man. I think there's always been that. I do know, if anyone's interested in some history of this, I know very little about this, but you can read about it. There is a difference between folk magic and ceremonial magic. I am what's called a folk practitioner, where it's like do the best with whatever you can. I want you to picture Appalachian witch in the woods. I don't have a tarot deck, so I'm using my deck of cards. I'm a folk witch in that, like, oh yeah, candles. We got candles around. Let's cast spells with that. Freezer. We got a freezer. Good old freezer spell. Ceremonial magic tends to be, if you look up like Order of the Golden Dawn, that kind of stuff. It's not strictly that, but it tends to be, we have our scepter and we're wearing our robes and everything is planned out and we're casting this spell together and there's rituals to this and there's ways this must be done. I know way little about that, but there is a chance there might be some crazy societies that do more ceremonial stuff in that realm. I don't know. I know so little about that stuff because I am your folk practitioner, but I do know that exists. And if you're interested in that, I'm sure some Google searches will help find some answers. Order of the Golden Dawn sounds like some Illuminati shit. Rick, from what I have read, you're correct. You're correct. Or at least in that vibe, you're correct. It's not something I've bothered to read about a ton, just because whenever I have had time to read, it's been fiction stuff I want to catch up with, or it's been stuff from my own practice. I plan to get to that someday because, again, knowledge is power. I'm just interested in it. But yeah, some Google searches might be fun for that. Okay, let me catch up. Is the AMA thread not visible for new people, or am I just blind? It was hidden for me at first, too. I had to manually show it. Yeah, I think it's because it was added. Discord does a weird thing with that. I'm sorry if it's hard to find, Seesaw. Also, feel free to just ask your questions here. I am going in order, but I am trying to also answer questions as I go. So don't worry. Discord is weird and it hides stuff sometimes. Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank you for helping out, Seesaw. There are only 3 books. Yeah, but Sting, they're dense. They're dense books. And the text is really small. Lord of the Rings? No, that is poop. I'm having a great time. Thank you, Alex. Alex, read a list of DCC while she's trying to sleep. It'll just soak in my brain through osmosis. The poor sun wheel, they fucked it up. I know, Sting! And it makes me mad. I've talked about this before, how I want to get a tattoo of a protection rune. It's old traditional English magic. There's also Nordic ones I want too, but they've been... People are going to see that tattooed on me and be like, this girl's trouble. And I'm not. I'm not trouble, I swear. I can't do it now. That symbol was also of the Finnish Air Force before the Mustache Man ruined it for everyone. See, what the fuck? Why do they have to do this to us? Make up your own shit. Goddamn. And it's not even yours. Fuck. Okay. Threads are just like that. You need to either manually add people in or have people go in there and chat to get notifications. Rip. Sorry about that. Yeah, you can't wear Thor's hammer anymore because the Nazis of the Nordics used it as a symbol. See, that makes me so upset. Especially as someone who works a little bit with the Nordic pantheon, mostly Celtic, but like a little bit Nordic. That sad, man. Sad days. Sad days. So anyways, you can look up more stuff about that. I'm sure there's groups out there that are like that, but there's nothing like the Sith that are, super known, I would say, in my opinion. You mentioned you said a witchy spell or intention when buying the plot of land. Yes, I did. What's your biggest, freakiest? I think I just made that happen thing so far. Honestly, it was that. Because that spell, I had people over. Alex's family was over. For those that don't know the story, the plot of land next to our house went for sale. And we had a feeling it was going to, but we thought it would be in a couple of years. This was 5 months after buying our house. So money was very tight. And when we saw that for sale sign go up, we were like, well, we have to jump on it. And it turns out we entered a bidding war with builders. As in they were going to chop down all the trees. We called and was like, stop, chop down the tree. We're going to put in an offer like right now. Don't do it. We prefer it without the trees. Or sorry, we prefer it with the trees. Like leave, do not do this. So we're putting in our offers. We're in a bidding war with builders who wanted to tear down everything. We live in the woods, by the way. We're surrounded by trees. It would just, they were going to do the millennial gray travesty of building a shitty starter home, maybe even 2 on this plot of land. And we were not going to have it. So when we entered the bidding war, there was a while in that day that we didn't hear from them. And I got really scared. So Alex's family was over and I went upstairs and they all know I practice, but like I said, I don't cast big gun spells very often. So I was like, I'm going to go upstairs and I'll be in my office for a bit. And I think I told Alex, like, I'm going to be casting a spell because I don't know what else to do. And we're doing this. So I went upstairs, got out like all my components boxes and shit. I pulled out all the stops. And I was specifically casting for a while because I was trying to call for as much help as possible. As in from my allies, said spirits I've talked about. And I used a lot of cinnamon because I needed this shit to work fast and I needed it to work now. I was like, there's like a 10-hour window where this can happen. And it fucking worked. and the call, it wasn't even you got the better offer the next morning. It was, it came to me this morning, the guy said, selling the land. It came to me this morning that it just makes more sense to sell this land to the people living next to it. Instead of making the profit from the better offer, I woke up this morning and I just realized this was the right thing to do. Tell me. I did make a deal though that I had to bring them a hot cup of tea for that week, every day that week, and I did that. That's another thing. If you ever make deals with your friends, it's like IRL friendships where like you promise a friend, hey, if you loan me these $200 right now, I promise I'm going to do this thing for you. And then you don't do the thing that makes you shitty. That friend's never going to help you out again, right? It's the same with them. So you better believe I brought them the hot tea every day. I did that. That was my offering. I was like, please. And it fucking worked. So yeah, Rick, I would say that's the craziest. I do have the story of casting the spell with my cousin that had cancer, but obviously that was a long fight and she did a lot. So I feel like that was just more of like a me doing what I can and more of like a, even though she didn't ask for that, I just wanted to help out. The buying the land thing is the craziest thing. Have you cursed Mr. Greasebucket? Why not? Remember earlier how I said I've only been close to casting a baneful spell once? That was it. Particularly after I learned that they had the puppy mill situation and what they did to those poor dogs. I'm not past it. It could still happen one day. Who knows? But yeah, I have thought about banning Mr. Greasebucket. I have thought about banning him for sure. Hey, listen, if you lend me $20,000, I'll do a thing for you. No, Disney. There's another thing I've learned about deals is only give the money that you're okay with never seeing again. And I definitely do not have 20K to just give away. Yeah, some of the stuff has become a bit of a dog whistle, at least here in Germany. It's really shitty. Oh, see, so I didn't even realize you were German. That's sick. Yeah, that blows. It makes me intensely upset. I can imagine, especially for you guys. I have so many like Northern Europeans in chat. I can imagine, since this is more directly your culture than it is even mine. Like mine, it is like ancestrally. You know what I'm saying? And then for you guys, I don't know. That would just be sad. It's just sad. Dang, I was hoping to join a group of the Sith. I mean, you could start one. You could start one. Okay, Rick has some addendum questions. Okay, wait, I want to answer this just because I'm interested. Do witches have mortal enemies like vampires or werewolves? My answer to this is the patriarchy. That's my answer. I think in general, witches, because again, there's a difference between religious practices like Wiccan, witches. Some people don't go by witches. There's also like sorcerers, warlocks, magicians, right? I think specifically if you go by a witch, it's broad. But typically, witches have been looked down on for history one way or another. And they're typically people who just try to make the best out of life with what they have. And that does mean things like, so like when Disney brought up the whole like, oh, this is just Mexican culture, it's just something we do. It's probably something that like they've just always done in Mexican culture because they use the resources around them to like, it's this little thing to make life better. I know Appalachian witchcraft is hugely common. There's things like hanging the horseshoe above your doorways, right, for good luck. And now horseshoe magic, like people see that shit everywhere, but that's huge in Appalachian culture. The tarot deck stuff with the playing cards and having playing cards read your fortunes, like that's huge. Yeah, there's all kinds of shit. There's all kinds of shit that people do just to get by in life. So no, I'd say the patriarchy, I'd say capitalism. I would not say things like vampires or werewolves. Relatable? Exactly. Are male witches called warlocks? And what's the lore, if any, about gender differences when it comes to this? So warlocks is actually a term, okay, ironically, I feel like people think witches are feminine, warlocks are male. That's not necessarily the case. Witches is actually a gender neutral term, although it is more used for women. Anyone can be a witch. Anyone. It is a gender neutral term, and it is very broad because it's just someone who does witchcraft. Warlock, if my lore is correct, typically is reserved for males, but I don't think has to be. Like, it happens to be mostly men. It also means oath breaker. I think it's like Old English. It comes from an Old English word that I can't fucking say. It's got the weird AE symbol in it, but it means oath breaker or like pact breaker or something like that. Yeah, outside of that, I'm not entirely sure where the fuck it comes from. It is technically something different. I do think men and some women were tried as warlocks during the witch trials. I do think that was a word that was used. I think witch back then was more used as a derogatory, like, you witch, you wench. And I think warlock was more of a, you're an oath breaker. This is an official, like, more of a title, if that makes sense. Witch is less of a title. And if anything, I feel like the word witch is being kind of, what's the word when you, like, take back a word that used to be more derogatory and now it's not? Co-opting is coming to mind, and that's not the word I mean at all. But, like, you know, when you, like, take back a word and you're like, this is ours now. Witch used to be more insulting and bad, and don't be accused as a witch. I feel like nowadays that's, like, changing. And it's just a very broad term for like someone who does stuff that I do. Yeah, wait, Rick, you got it. It is something like that. I thought it was just the first half of that word, not the logo, but it is something like that. We have trollcores, here to ward off evil spirits and spells with ill intent. Used to be for protecting your livestock as they were hung up above barn doors. Yeah, and even still, like, I have that protection sigil I mentioned on my window. You can do a lot of protective things. Salt on the doorway is really common. Herbs underneath a doormat, common. Yeah, but hanging stuff above doorways, that's typically for good luck or protection. That's wonderful. I have mine on my window because a window is another entryway for negativity to get in. But yeah, that's cool, Sting. Troll cores. That would even have my tongue in a twist. I can't believe Alyssa said no, even after I offered her something. I ain't got 20K, girl. You see 20K in my house? I got plastic tables. You think I got 20K? You think I got 20K sitting around with my plastic tables? No. Appropriating? Yeah, but appropriating kind of implies that like the sun wheel being appropriated, you know what I mean? I feel like it's like reclaiming. Maybe that's what I'm trying to say. Like the word witch is being reclaimed to mean something, I think, less insulting. I once knew a self-proclaimed warlock who was constantly shitting on his Wiccan friend behind her back. Like he had a superiority complex. See, that sucks. I'm not Wiccan, but like I'm not going to shit on you if that's what you do. Same with any, I don't know. It's, yeah, ugh. With friends like that, you don't need enemies? Yeah. That sucks. Yeah, there are people out there, as I've been mentioning, there's a bunch of different titles people will call themselves by just because you practice magic. There's tons of different labels that can be. Troll cross. Oh, is that how you say it? Not the plastic tables. Reappropriating? Sure, we'll go with that. What's the difference between a witch and a Wiccan? Or a Wiccant? That's a good question. I think I mentioned that briefly. Witch is someone who practices witchcraft, which often includes magic. A Wiccan is someone who practices Wicca, the religion of Wicca. The religion of Wicca, which does normally include magic as well, but not necessarily witchcraft. That also makes sense. Or wait, no, I guess I have that backwards. Wiccans do practice witchcraft because I think that's inherent to the religion. I don't practice the religion, so someone correct me if I get it wrong. I do believe Wiccans do practice witchcraft and therefore magic. Witches don't practice Wiccan. I do also know Wiccan is where the Wheel of the Year comes from, which if you're familiar with, Samhain is included, but the Wheel of the Year is a modern invention in like the 70s or 80s when Wicca was first kind of founded. Wiccan is newer. It's supposed to be based on older practices, but it's not all the time. Like there's things about Wicca that people don't necessarily entirely understand. The Wheel of the Year was an invention by Wicca, which includes the solstices and equinoxes by different names, like Ostara is the spring equinox, Letha is the summer solstice, etc. Yule is the winter solstice. And some of them do have names founded like in the actual holiday, like Samhain. They use Samhain for Halloween, and that's like a real festival, fire festival celebrated by the Celts. But some of them aren't. Like Ostara, I believe, is supposed to have Germanic roots, and even that's not entirely like accurate. So they've kind of created their own thing, if that makes sense. So yeah, Wiccan is like its own thing entirely. No, that is, oh, it's the English translation, troll cross, gotcha. But it sounded closer than your first pronunciation. Troll cars. Fuck, I don't know. I was brewing a conspiracy theory that Obama was secretly Wiccan because of his slogan, yes, we can. We can. Okay, let me see. Rick's last question that I see. How much does geography nature affect your practice? Has it changed in any way since you moved from Florida to North Carolina? Whether practically or feeling wise. Oh my God, that's a great question. Both. I think a practice is affected by geography. I think in Florida, I wanted the 4 seasons so bad that I would watch nature so intently, which was kind of good, especially for me learning, I think, when I was newer to this sort of thing. My God, you have to look for any little drop in the temperature, any little change in the plants, and squint for fall to come. And you don't really notice it until September. And in September, you begin noticing it because instead of sweating at your 8 p.m. walk after sunset, you know, you're just a little uncomfortable. But it's 85 degrees out instead of 90, so that's better. But that is technically a change. Like you notice little differences. There's a flower that comes out in December, January called Florida Snow, where it looks like snow falls on the ground. I think actually also there's a variant called Mexican Snow. So some of you may know it as that. But it comes out in Florida around December, January. And that's like midwinter. And it's when the flowers bloom. And it's nice and it's mild and it's the dry season. So, yeah, I wasn't able to celebrate the seasons, I think, the way I want to. Whereas now I truly feel, I mentioned about me with my practice of ancestors, and I just saw Rick's Mexican Snow. Is that cocaine? Get the fuck out of here. I was talking earlier about like with ancestor work and working with deities and, that kind of spirit work that I do. That's what I'm trying to say. It's really cool to work on a similar cycle and rhythm of seasons that they all work with. And that does make it easier. It was harder to do that in Florida, but not impossible. And it did make me, I think, even more grateful for that maybe when I came up here. It did help me learn, though, that you can kind of watch for changes of the year anywhere, So, like, I know when Florida snow season is. The midwinter is marked by those flowers. Strawberry season for us is in February, which for some of you guys might seem fucking crazy, but they grow throughout the winter, and then February is when you pick them, and we have strawberry festivals. There's what was it? Hurricane season. You can think of hurricane season and dry season as kind of like parts of our yearly rhythm. So yeah, it's definitely changed since moving up here, and for me in my practice, I think for the better. That's not to say it's impossible to have a meaningful practice when you don't live in a typical, what I would call like, the European season maps, the North American season map. They're labeling our new breakers. Yay, Disney, let's go. There is a book I have. I'll put this in the Discord too, called Year of the Witch. This talks a lot about working with the cycles of the year. It does talk about how to work with solstices and equinoxes if you are interested in that, because that's a great way to connect with the rhythm of the year. I so recommend. If anyone here is kind of like, oh, I don't know about spell casting, but I like this whole connection talk, stuff like this is so great for that. This also talks about, depending on where you live, creating your own wheel of the year, because this author, ironically, is actually based in Florida. And talks about that. And talks about how weird it is and how she can't grow the same plants that everyone else grows. Relatable. Okay, Dim has posted an addendum. Dim says, is there something you are afraid of or refuse to get tangled up in when practicing? I have not come across anything really. I think the biggest thing is maybe like, I don't want to work with my own blood. And that's just because I don't want to go through the drawing it with the lancets. I just don't want to mess with that. Not even from like a magical perspective, but just from like a cleanliness, like having to deal with it perspective. But yeah, no, I don't know. Off the top of my head, no, I cannot think of that. But that's not to say that something would come up otherwise. Because I'm also not necessarily against Bane magic. So, yeah. Baneful magic. Do you believe in types of witches like a garden witch, bog witch, etc.? I mean, to an extent. I think sometimes labels can help people find what they are. And then I do think there are people that are just like, I'm just comfortable in my garden. That's all I want to fucking do. I'm a green witch. This is what I am. I'm a house witch. Kitchen witch. Kitchen witchery. I love me some good kitchen witchery. I do that when I bake sometimes too. That shit's so good. I don't call myself any of those. Because I think my practice is eclectic enough that I can't narrow anything down to one thing. Thanks for the answers. I'm head to bed. Yay, thanks for being here, Rick. I've been having an autoimmune reaction from wheat, so I'm trying to sleep as much as possible to let my body recover. I hope you are doing okay, Rick. Thank you for being here. I actually think we're actually close to wrapping up, so that is great. It's been 3 hours? Holy shit. Okay. Yeah, head to bed. I hope you're feeling better, and I will see you around, Rick. Thank you for the great questions. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like labels sometimes help people. Maybe, if I'm being really honest, when they're first getting into it and they say like, I'm a kitchen witch, and it gives them a sense of identity and what to work towards. And then when I'm being really honest, I think it helps people with marketing. There are a lot of witches trying to make it online, right? In this entrepreneurial era. Like I'm trying to do that, not necessarily with witchcraft stuff, but like in general. I think there are witches that are trying to make it online, or maybe start a small business. Maybe they're opening a store where they sell ingredients. Maybe they're trying to open up a business where they're they're doing astrological readings or tarot readings, or they cast spells for people, and calling themselves Alyssa the Kitchen Witch, or Alyssa the Green Witch. It's very marketable, and I'm sure that helps. Wait, you end stream? If you end stream, what am I supposed to do for entertainment? You can't leave? Your electricity is almost back. So yeah, I don't know. Do I believe in those types of witches? I mean, yeah, because it just depends on the person. I don't label myself as any of that because I think that's putting myself in too much of a box. But yeah, for sure. Do you work with a specific deity? How do you know they answer? Because she kicks my fucking ass. The deity I work with the most is the Morrigan, which is the goddess of witchcraft, warfare, and death in the Celtic pantheon. She's a badass. She kicks my ass, and that's how I know she's there. You'll kind of find if a deity works with you, they'll answer in a big way, and in ways that also are very what's the word I'm trying to say? I'm blanking out because I've been answering so many questions. I'm sorry. My language capacity is like tanking. You know how deities across mythology will have certain icons, certain stories that go with them, right? So for her, crows and ravens enter the battlefield, you know what I mean, after the warfare, because that's what she's known for. I have crows around me all the fucking time. And let me tell you, sometimes the crows get a little crazy when shit's about to hit the fan. That's not very often. She was there when my life hit rock bottom, and as the goddess of death, among other things, she makes you pick yourself up by your bootstraps and you go and do the damn thing. You make your life happen, and you get that shit done. She was there whenever I made my first career change. That was when I started working with her. It was when I left music entirely, and in less than a year made the jump from learning art to becoming a professional artist at Netflix. And she kicked my ass. I think some deities are hard to work with. Not hard, like difficult, but like Hecate is another one. I haven't worked with Hecate as the goddess of witchcraft, I think among other things, in Greek mythology. I've heard she's another one where it's like tough love. It's like Tiger Mom tough love. And some deities are just like that. Other ones are not. Some are fluffy, cozy, nice. Some are there to prop you up when you need it. It just depends. I've been interested in working with others in the Celtic pantheon. Bridget is the other one. That's kind of like the cross of the Morrigan. Very different vibes. But yes, I have done that. Follow up. If you call for help, like anyone who is listening, how do you identify who answers your call? You have to try to be open to it. Come on, you want to play a demo now? I need food is what I need. Okay, yeah. So the answer is Dim's follow-up, which is a great follow-up question. How do you identify who answers? It's different for everybody. Sometimes, so when I was answered by the Morrigan, I was already deep in my witchcraft practice, and I was starting to look up stuff about death practice. She is the goddess of death in that pantheon. Also with like the crows and ravens, and that was when I really started acknowledging kind of an affiliation I have with them, a strong sense of connection. And then stuff on the Morrigan, I would say a little bit of time after, just started kind of popping up in my life. And I did some reading about her, and I was like, wait a minute. And then in my regular witchcraft practice, I began expanding not just my ancestral work, because I've always worked with my ancestors and my house spirits, not just my ancestral work, I started expanding that to also include a little bit of deity work as well. And I don't call on her super often, not for help. I always venerate her. I actually have a Morrigan altar on my top shelf. Where? Here. Here. So I always venerate her, but I don't always call her for help or advice unless I'm like, I'm ready to have my ass handed to me. Is it time? Like, what do I do? And then it's like, okay, here we go. Here we go. Mars is here. Hi, Mars. Oh, shit. Ten of Swords. Are you doing okay? How are you? Welcome into the Witchy Talk. But yeah, you can do like anyone who is listening, because there will be certain spirits, deities or otherwise, that will be interested in you, either what you do, what you stand for, what's going on in your life. You can also kind of be like, I'm interested in working with this energy, and call out to them and see if they respond to you. And then you kind of look out for the signs, like what I was saying happened with me. It's different for every person. So yeah, looking into that, and especially if they're someone with a lot of lore, look into their lore and be kind of more aware of those signs. You have that hat? Let's go. I'm wearing it for the AMA today. But yeah, you can definitely just do a like, who out there is listening. I will warn you, you won't know who. So if you're not ready for someone to come and kick your ass, it could be somebody that comes in and kicks your ass. It could not be. You know what I mean? You don't know what to expect. It all just depends. It all just depends. I do feel like the Morrigan is a good fit for me, though, as a patron of sorts. Six of Pentacles, Knight of Wands. Nice. Okay, let me go to... Is it advisable to call on Hecate at all times? I mean... Ooh, okay, so here's the thing. I don't work with Hecate specifically. I have heard she's one tough motherfucker. Again, Tiger Mom. Like, good to work with. Oh, holy shit. So, I don't know. It depends on, do you have something in mind that you want to call her for, if you don't mind me asking? I think it's always advisable to venerate and maybe ask for advice. If you want them to actually intervene, or you want to do an invocation of a deity, I think if you want to do something a little more hands-on like that, I think you got to be fucking ready for it. So maybe do a bit more digging. Hecate is a very common one, though. I think there's more information on Hecate than there is for the Morrigan. So you should be able to find a lot through books and even Google searches. And Greek mythology is so popular. There's a lot of information out there. There's also, actually, I think this guy, Jason Miller, has a Hecate course online. I think it's Jason Miller. It might not be. There's coursework, but the coursework is also super intense. I don't know if you want to commit to that, but Hecate coursework is also a thing that exists out on the internet. I do know that. All right, Sting Dragon asks, do you have any tips for cleansing stress and negativity? Yeah. So it depends on how far you want to go with it. A candle with a cleansing herbal scent to it. Rosemary, which also has a hint of protective vibes in it, but maybe like a rosemary scented candle or anything like that. If you have incense, well, no, you have a cat, Sting. Never mind. X-nay on the incense thing. Desperately needs, so very far. Don't do the incense thing. You have a cat. If you have a pet, watch out. I only burn incense in this room, and Percy's downstairs. Incense can be bad for your kitties. Don't do that. Yeah, I'm a bitch for candle magic. Lighting, that's good. Are you wanting for, okay, so cleansing and negativity? Yeah, I love using sage. If you can get yourself a sage candle. I actually have a white sage scented candle I use for purification sometimes. Sage is like, I want to bleach. It's energy bleach. I want to bleach the energy out of here. The good and the bad. Get it the fuck out of here. And you start over. So if you go through with like sage, you can also actually use sage leaves. Like you can hang that around your windows or doorways. You can put it under your doormats to encourage energy cleansing as it moves in and out of your house. Something I do you guys know, because I actually purify. Also, it's the dark moon. Happy dark moon. I need to do this today. I typically wipe down all my windowsills and doorways, thresholds with you guys know Clorox wipes? I do it to clean, but I typically do it with either pine or lemon scented wipes. And you can do that. You can make your own sprays if you want, but also if you just want to, get it from the store, and like that works too. You can do that and kind of wipe down thresholds and doorways to clear energy going in and out. Burning a candle is great because it just clears out the whole area. You can also put herbs and salts and things in places, but that causes more of a mess, which I feel like might be more of a pain for you if you want something easy. So yeah, rosemary is good for cleansing. Sage is like energy bleach. I recommend if you do sage, you're wanting to fill that in with something afterwards. So, if you got like something for happiness, apples, like, I don't know, you can bake some. This is what I normally do. I'll tell you this. Cleanse however you cleanse. Sage candle. You can do the window wipe thing like I do. And the doorways, cleanse the house, clarify it of any negativity. Then I'll try to cook something. I cook something or bake something or I put on a simmer pot of happiness or positivity, especially if you do the sage. So an apple simmer pot will be like abundance and positivity and happiness and that stuff, right? If you bake vanilla cookies, that can be really good for prosperity and divination and mental clarity. It kind of depends on what you want. They're finally working the part of the house that is out. Yay! Being hard on yourself. Okay, finding peace, emotional release and such. Okay. Being hard on yourself. So you want something. Chamomile comes to mind, especially for finding peace and being hard on yourself. Chamomile tea. So cleanse the space. Candles are so good for that. Maybe something with chamomile. So maybe like chamomile tea. If you have a chamomile, I have some chamomile baked goods or chamomiles in the recipes, like a chamomile sweet roll. That could be really good to bake. Something like that would be really good for the first two things you mentioned. Emotional release. Believe it or not, I might recommend, okay, hear me out. Because emotional release would make me think like cleansing or purification. Do you have like a vanilla cookie recipe? This is controversial. Some people would disagree with me. Vanilla is really great for prosperity. And if you do that after a deep cleansing, I think that could be a good thing for you. I do that a lot in the winter when I make my Christmas cookies. Aerith. Hey, Aerith! Welcome in! 8 of Pentacles. Sorry, my brain is shutting down. How are you doing, Aerith? There's a store in town that sells sage bundles. You can do that. I just recommend be careful with your kitty. When you burn incense or bundles like that, you just want to be careful there's not too much smoke around them. A candle tends to be a little bit cleaner. But something like that. I do have vanilla at home. True vanilla, not the fake stuff. Yeah, vanilla. I use vanilla all the time. So it's for mental clarity and prosperity, growth, growing into like a new phase of your life. So that's kind of why I think like maybe like if you want something like chamomile is really good for peace, tranquility. I think also there's a gentleness with chamomile that might be good with the being hard on yourself. So maybe something like chamomile tea and vanilla that might pair really well together. My herbal witch is showing. Other people will be coming in here saying like, get these crystals, get these candles, but what can I say? A magic wand. Have a good cry. There you go. There you go. I'm good. I hope you are well. Thank you. I am doing well. This has been a fun AMA. I hope you all have enjoyed it. Is it okay if I open the door to the balcony or does that defeat the purpose? Oh no, absolutely you can. If you're really that, like I said, you're dealing with sage. It is the energetical, my language. It is the energy bleach. So like that is some strong ass shit. You're going to be fine. You may just want to like really make sure you purify like around the door. You know what I mean? Like take like literally just get the smoke around the edges of the threshold of it and then you'll be good to go. I already have cried. It doesn't help me get past things, let go so that I can actually do the work I need to do. Yeah, I feel that. Also, while you're doing this, intention is important. While you're doing this kind of thing, Sting, think about the house spirits and who you're working with, right? You're clarifying the space and therefore, purifying the house spirits around you. and you're working together. You're feeding off their energy, they're feeding off yours. You're doing something for them, they're going to help you out. You're also, you're cleansing the air. Think about the intention of what you want things to look like, why you're doing this. All of that's kind of an important part of the process as you're doing this sort of thing. And hopefully by the end of it, you start feeling a bit better, and then there's longer lasting effects as you do it. Hello, Enzo. Welcome in. Can I tell fortunes? I don't know if I can tell fortunes in the way you are thinking of. Classically, witches are not necessarily fortune tellers. That is something different. Okay, hold on. Let me catch up. I can put Maury in the kitchen and close the door too. That's kind of what I do with Percy, just to make sure the smoke doesn't bother him. But yeah, that's all. I just warn, if you do incense for anyone out there, you have to be careful with. I think cats are even more susceptible than dogs, but like, yeah, any kind of small animal you have in the house, you just want to watch out. Opening a window would be good to let out the energy too, I think. Yeah, for sure. For sure. Okay, I see Seesaw's question. Okay. Do you have a tip on spotting bad bullcrap sources or practices, or if it's just copious amounts of research? God, I mean, it's kind of the same with anything else, right? That's a good question. I think there's a lot of shit on the internet where people bandwagon each other. And to a certain extent, if you see something said if you see something said over and over again, it's probably correct. You know what I mean? Like, rosemary is a great gentle protection herb. Yep, cool. Lavender for peace and tranquility. And like, that also makes sense with what we hear in its mundane uses, right? Sometimes you do just have to feel it out. I think also if you can find it sourced more than once, it's probably your best bet. It also depends on, are you looking up like associations of herbs and stuff? Because then it's like, sometimes you also gotta feel that out for you, if that makes sense. A lot of this is also, if something doesn't feel right to you, or just because it says something online, like, oh, you should do this, this will help with X thing. If it doesn't feel right, don't do it. It might feel like, actually, I want to use this for this thing. And then go for it. That's probably a better answer. Or like, what am I trying to say? You should listen to your gut. Now, having said that, if you're telling me, hey, I'm going to use the full moon to cast a banishing spell. Well, don't do that, you idiot. Cast it on the dark moon. Cast it today. So there's some things out there where it's like you will see the same information over and over again. And I would say that generally makes it more safe. If you only see it in one spot and nowhere else, maybe don't listen to it. All right, guys, we're on our final question that I see right here by Pluronco. How to get to know deities? Meditation. Meditation's a great way to do that. Meditation and working with them. I have an altar space set up where I try to do offerings once a week, and I meditate. You'll get to know the deity the best if you actively work with them. If I actively have the Morgan in my life, I learn a lot, but things get kind of crazy. Let's say you're somebody who wants to work with, I don't know, maybe like Artemis, or maybe you're somebody who wants to work with Odin. I don't know what those experiences would necessarily be like, but if you actively work with them and invite them in your life and they participate in that, it's the best way to get to know them. Otherwise, meditating, I would say, is the best way to do it from a distance. And there's meditation exercises where if you're new to meditating at all, start small and like, you know what I mean? Start small and like, you're not necessarily going to reach out immediately. You're going to make sure you understand the art of meditating. But then the more you do that, the more you can kind of reach out and meditate on specific spiritual aspects and then get to know them through that. That is something realistically I'm still not great at because I am inconsistent with my meditation, which sucks. And that's bad of me, but that's okay. That is okay. I think that's my biggest handicap. I can't meditate. And you can learn. It's a muscle. Like there was a time I did it every day or most every day for like a year. And I was like, I'm a monster right now. And I do feel like I lost something since I don't do it as often anymore. I would love to get that back. Whenever I do my weekly offering, I do it at least once a week. So I feel like it's a little bit of a spiritual hygiene upkeep. But I do wish I did it more. I guess I'm so bad at it. Every time I do it once a week, I'm like, my brain is a goddamn mess compared to what it used to be. It used to be so much clearer, man. That's fine. It can come back if I put in the time. If it's a foreigner, will witchcraft work on them? You mean like if I cast it on somebody? I mean, yeah. It can work on anybody. It could work for anyone. It all just depends. Well, gang, that's all I have. That's all I have. That's all for Discord. That's all she wrote. I hope you enjoyed this witchy AMA. Thank you for being here. I loved your questions. They were all so well thought out. I have a ton of books I'll put on Discord for you all. I'll put that maybe in the AMA thread. Yeah, because then you guys won't lose it. Or if I post it to books or something. Like that way you guys can always like check up on it for something. Anyways, I'll put it in the AMA thread. That'll probably go up this afternoon. And I will see you guys on Thursday. We'll be playing more spooky games as we wrap up spooky season. Our next event is next Thursday. Next Thursday. It's pumpkin carving. Pumpkin carving with Alex. It's gonna be something. So we'll start hyping for that soon. Yeah, thank you for all your great questions. I had a lovely time. I hope you guys don't think I'm too woo-woo now. Yeah. That's it. Wishy Alyssa's gone now. Oh, I got hat hair. That's fine. I have a little bit of hat hair. Oh, no. See you back after lunch. If you put it in books, you can pin it. Threads disappear after a while. Oh, that's a good that's a good point, Tim. Okay, we'll do that. I'll put it in books. Thank you. I hope you all have a lovely rest of your week. I hope to see you Thursday. Thank you for the stream. It was a very interesting convo. I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for being here. Hope your opinions of me have not changed too much. And I hope to see you Thursday. If not, I don't know. I'll see you around sometime. I would love more witchy streams. Maybe we'll do these. Like a witchy-cathan. You know, I'm sure this won't be the only Q&A I do. There'll probably be more. I don't know how soon, but we'll do more. Feels nice to have a spiritual evening too. It really does. Sometimes it's nice to try to unplug and like be with yourself, connect with the world around you. It is very nice. Witchicathan would be an amazing word, or is an amazing word. It is. Guys, thank you so much for being here. I love you all, and I wish you all the best. I'll see you around. Bye.